Can you have a big happy smile? Welcome, everybody. And say hi to Mini Drac Jr. That's her official title, Brenton, is she is Drac Jr.
That's okay then.
Yay!
I'm trying to figure out what I want my tagline to be, because I'm pretty good at being sassy in these taglines, but I just can't think of anything off the top of my head right now.
You ready to go to bed?
No, but I guess I'll go.
Oh my gosh.
So what you do, Brenton, is you go to the Hangout toolbox now, and they've just simplified how you make it. So put your display name, put your tagline, and then your color. All right, everybody say bye-bye to baby girl. Bye-bye. Say bye-bye to Drac Jr. Bye-bye. Good night. I love you. Mwah. All right, there we go. Yeah, that's still a little surprising to me. 14 just barely out of the red mage. Holy crap. Can people hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay.
We've been hearing you all
just making sure that I just wanted to make sure people could still hear me and all that fun stuff. Let me double check to make sure the camera's not recording audio too. Okay.
No, you're coming in nice and clear from your mic.
Cool.
Can you read my tagline? Did it get cut off at all?
Give me a second and I can follow.
Nope. It's perfect, Brenton. I can see it perfectly.
Yay, because that is
I now need to see this.
Because that's like the epitome of my E3.
I don't know.
E3
I mean, like
every year.
E3 was pretty balanced this year. I'll at least say that, because you did get some good 2017 releases, but yeah, a lot of it was early 2018.
No, because literally this is what I call PlayStation's E3 2017. I can summarize it in one sentence. Here's all the games we showed last year that you can't play until next year.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that was pretty much Sony's conference right there. That, and can we please fire the audio guy? Can we? It's like been 3 years where they've had audio issues for the beginning of their conference. Can we just fire the audio guy?
Oh, I
was patient with him for 2 years. Now 3 strikes, you're out. I want him fired.
What makes you sure it's the same person?
I don't know it is, but like it. I don't know. Maybe people are remembering this is differently, but like the way I see the conferences, the first 2 trailers are muffled as all hell. I can't even hear the people on stage. And I especially can't hear the trailers. And it happened here too. I couldn't hear Uncharted, and I couldn't hear what was the one after Uncharted?
I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been a couple of days now.
Uncharted, and it took Days Gone. And Days Gone was the 3rd trailer in that I could actually like start to hear. And that was halfway into the trailer. So let's see, it was Uncharted, and it was a big game too, and so it pissed me off. Crap. I don't have my Surface with me, unfortunately. Oh, no, wait, I do. In case people have never seen this before.
Oh, that's way cool.
Little Mega Man Avengers.
I don't even think I've seen that.
Yes, it's cute, isn't it?
Oh, yay.
I didn't even put them on. This is a hand-me-down Surface, so
they gave Red Mage their own dedicated healing move, and I just got to the level where I can use it.
Nice.
Just playing around, yeah.
So does Red still have the restriction that it usually did, which is like it can go up to like mid-magic and then it's done?
So the way that they configured it in
Horizon Zero Dawn, that's the one. It was the expansion that I couldn't hear, and I'm like, you mother effers! I want to hear about this.
Stop it, you weirdo!
Your license plates are there, so take this.
Now, Nathan, what happens on the internet stays on the internet forever.
I know, Nathan. We're live streaming that.
Oh, and Alex, make sure to reply your thing so that everybody knows.
Fine. Go away, you. Also, we're in the game now, so.
There we go. So I guess the only one I'm not sure we're going to get is Aldo. Because he wasn't sure if he was going to get here on time. But so anyway, I asked you a question, Brinton. So Red mages usually had the restriction of like they could go up to like mid-level magic and then they couldn't do that anymore. Is that not the case?
So the way that they designed Red Mage for Final Fantasy XIV is that because they also kind of did this for all the classes where they have their own individual I don't know how to describe it, but I have this little icon.
Black Mage has its own magic. White Mage has its own magic.
Yeah, so like there's this little icon in my UI that allows me to see how I'm balancing my buildup of white and black mana. And so I have moves that specifically increase both my stacks per se of white and black.
Mhm.
And then I also have very specific moves that increases only white and only black. And so what you're trying to do is balance how much you gain in both white and black mana. And once you get up to about 85 respectively on both white and black mana, then you jump, because you're doing this all ranged. You then have this move that allows you to jump in super close to the enemy, where you can do where you have like this combination of melee moves, and you just do them back to back to back. And as soon as you're done doing a melee rotation, you jump out of the fray and go right back to doing your casting rotation. So
Nice.
yeah, so Red Mage is very much a hybrid of both like range DPS and melee DPS. And it's just how and it's how you do the casting and the ranged spells. And how well you balance it that allows you to jump super close to the enemy and start hitting him, or like start hitting the enemy with really super powerful melee attacks. So, but
it sounds to me a lot like kind of how Gen Greymane works in Heroes of the Storm, where you start things off as a ranged, but then you can pile things up and go beat the crap out of them, and then you gotta pull out so that you can build up your resources again.
Yes, exactly. And so that's why they call it the balance gauge, and it just sits in your UI and it allows you to see how much you've built in both black and white mana. That way, you know, oh, okay, now I can jump in, hit them with my melee attacks, and then once I'm done with that, I can jump right back out.
Interesting.
And it's really not that difficult to balance it. I actually thought it looked super, super complicated, but once I set up my hotbars and I've been practicing for like over 5-8 hours now, and it's like playing Red Mage is really not that super difficult.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah. So I'm like super, super enjoying it.
I'm glad to hear that. Usually I know where I'm like going to go when I actually am going to tackle Final Fantasy XIV. I'm probably going to go the warrior route, but I actually would like to experiment with some of the other classes in there. So yeah, Red Mage is definitely one I would like to see how it utilizes itself.
I am still trying to, like when I play Final Fantasy XIV for YouTube, I'm still trying to figure out what class I want to play.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to do Bard because I also play Bard right now. And then I'm probably not going to do Red Mage because, like I told you a couple weeks ago, when I choose my class, I'm sticking with it for as long as this series goes. Because as of right now, I have like tons of content to cover.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to have to bother with changing classes and then having to level myself up to where I was before so that I can keep playing story. Just
What's the cap for 14 right now?
they just raised the cap to level 70.
Oh yeah, you've got lots of stuff to go over.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, they made a lot of awesome changes in in patch 4.0, and I'm super like I just cannot wait to be able to sit down and get to this point in my let's play. I'm not sure I want to call it a let's play quite yet because it's going to be an ongoing series that I just update once a week, and I know that it's something that will indefinitely never end.
Nope.
So Nathan and I are brainstorming and trying to think of like what else we could call it, because it's technically not a let's play per se. It's just kind of like
That's
it's
why
just
I
like
named mine the Tale of Drakfu, is because I knew that it was going to be a long Let's Play. I still label it under my Drak Let's Play banner, but I make sure it has its own name, it has its own branding, because it isn't necessarily your average Let's Play.
Yes, exactly. So when that I'm not worrying about it too much right now because I still have Super Mario Galaxy 2 to complete and then Final Fantasy 7, which I know a lot of people are now starting to get really anxious for, and I'm sorry, I'm trying. This expansion dropping out this weekend is not helping my cause at all, but I kind of don't care at the same time.
Now you're going through the pain that I went through when Legion released and I was swamped. And I was like, I want to play Legion. I want to like level my class, but I've got so much stuff that needs to go up per each week.
Oh man, I couldn't even let's play during that time just because I was in the middle of my internship, and somehow I still had and well, the time that I could have let's played I was playing Legion, but oh well.
Yes. Oh, and for the record, I've picked your class. I've picked your class. This is since you guys have given me so many suggestions on the Diablo ones. I'm going to make a suggestion for your class. Are you ready?
Okay.
Dark Knight or Dragoon?
That's actually what Nathan told me. The thing, I actually wouldn't mind being a Dark Knight. It's just
You are awesome.
Dark Knight doesn't unlock until the first expansion, and it unlocks at level 30. And by the time you start the expansion, you're at level 50. So I don't want to have to take the time to get 20 levels just to keep playing through the expansion. It's just going to take too long. I may yeah, I Dragoon is one that I have been considering, but we'll see. I'm not super concerned about what I pick right now because
Let's see what they look like. Oh, Dragoon looks badass.
Yeah, level
Let's see,
Dragoon
you need to be a level 30
cool.
Lancer to get it. And then what's Dark Knight look like? Oh, Dark Knight looks pretty cool too.
Yeah, Dark Knight looks super cool, and I really did consider it. Another a couple that I was considering, just kind of on this sheet of ideas that I keep track of that I can go to when I actually decide to work on the project. I thought maybe a paladin or a black mage.
Paladin would probably be your best bet because Black Mage is going to be more of a glass cannon class, but Paladin, at least if Final Fantasy is building him the way I think they are, then that's going to be a survivability class.
Yeah.
So that's why in a lot of cases I'd pick Dragoon or Dark Knight, is because those will also be survivability classes with heavy armor. Also, because Cecil and Kane are awesome and nobody else can tell me different.
Well,
not even you. Oh, sorry.
Well, it really depends on, yeah, Cecil's an okay Dark Knight, but then he becomes Paladin halfway through. I think the only real Dark Knight that stays Dark Knight all the way through is Leonhardt from 2.
Yeah, but that's just because by the time you actually get him as a party member, he was down the path anyway. The other one that comes to mind is Gefgarian. He stayed Dark Knight and Tactics. In fact, that's funniest fact. That's actually my first ever Death Knight that I made on WoW. That was his name, Gefgarian. I actually got the legit spelling.
That's awesome.
And I got so many compliments on it, and then Cataclysm came around, and he said bye-bye.
Oh.
I wanted to do
Yeah.
DK, so. And I tried to get the exact same spelling for it. I couldn't do it. It's like,
Yeah. Like,
But I-
compared to other strategy games, the tactics games haven't really been on my radar.
I'm
mean,
just trying. I'm trying to think of like legit Dark Knights throughout the Final
Oh,
Fantasy series, because you have
Hmm.
I can't even remember two's U.S. name. Was it Leon? Yeah, it was Leon.
Yeah, I think they changed it to
Um,
Leon, and then changed it again to Leonhardt with the PSP release.
Yeah. 4 was Cecil, but he doesn't even stay that way because halfway in he goes Paladin, in all of his wonderful rainbow hair that never translated to the later games. 5 was Job Class. 6, there really wasn't a Dark Knight in 6. I don't know. Some of the attacks that General Leo had might have translated, but I don't want to call him a Dark Knight. Let's see. No, I'm not even going to try and compare anybody in 7 to a Dark Knight. 8, not really even there. Was there a Dark Knight in 9?
I don't remember. I don't think there
think
was
there
one
was.
per se. No, the closest you got was Zidane, because Zidane had some attacks that required HP.
Yeah. So like you
I guess
had
it's
that,
pronounced
but
Zidane now, actually.
you didn't. I don't care. I still call him Zidane, but yeah, you didn't have the dude in like striking black armor, except maybe Garland, but I would say he was a different animal. And don't even
Yeah.
get me started on the Dark Knights in 10-2. Those are not Dark Knights.
Yeah, like the closest Dark Knight we kind of have. We don't even really have one in 10 per se either. Like, I'm
11
trying
had
to
a
think.
job class system, so it doesn't count. 12.
Well, kind of in a similar boat because of the license system.
Yeah. I mean, the closest thing to a Dark Knight might have been Bosch's twin, but even then, that's a stretch. 13, no, there really wasn't a Dark Knight. 15, I don't think there is.
No, at least not as
But I'm
far
not
as
that
I've
far.
played, which isn't that far.
Mm.
Like, there are some Dark Knight abilities you can get for party members, but nothing really. They don't really do classes that much in 15.
Oh, by the way, before I forget, Alex, I have a reply for your comment.
Which comment?
The comment you left on my Sony conference review.
Oh, about COD?
Yes. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah, real eloquent, Adam.
I know. I try. I don't care. I don't care. I get that
Well,
like
you should care.
you made a good point, Alex, but at the same time, I don't care because even going backwards is still going backwards for them.
Yeah, but that's not the point of the comment. You're just like, this is clearly a knee-jerk reaction to Battlefield. And I'm like, well, not exactly, because COD originated as a World War II shooter. So it's going back to the franchise roots rather than just knee-jerking reaction to a market decision.
Okay, here's a spoiler alert. I didn't even think it was an inventive idea when Battlefield did it either. Going all the way back to World War I didn't think that was an inventive idea either.
Well, thing is, it could have been if, they actually did their research and actually cared about presenting World War I with any form of accuracy. But that's the thing.
Well, we are going to be...
World War...
Go ahead.
Like World War I is not the kind of war you can make glorified war hero stories out of. It basically was the war that everyone hated, no one wanted to fight, but it happened anyway.
Well, it's like I get Alex's point of view is like going back and going into World War I, World War II is just going to kind of refresh things. But to me, it's just like, okay, so we're acknowledging the fact that we don't have any new ideas, so we have to go and rehash our old ideas until we come up with some new ideas. Okay, well,
they went to space. What else could they do?
End.
Well, they could go backwards.
Hold down the curtain. Say goodnight. Shake everybody's hand. Move on.
Like, here's a Call of Duty game I would want to see. Call of Duty: The 100 Years' War.
Okay. I played my share of Call of Duty before people scream at me, and I know that they're going to scream at me anyway. before people do that, I played Call of Duty, Medal of Honor, even Battlefield. I've played them. I had my fair share. I stopped after a while. I never went back because the same thing was happening over and over again. Even I would dare say, like, if we're going to compare World War II platforms, which one am I going to play? COD World War II or Wolfenstein 2? I'm going to play Wolfenstein 2.
Okay, that technically raises the question. Are you meaning the new Wolfenstein 2,
The new
or are you
Wolfenstein
meaning...
2, yeah.
Okay, because given the whole sequel confusion thing, it gets very confusing.
I totally get that. I should have said the new Colossus, but yeah, like, if we're talking about which World War II shooter I'm going to play, I'm going to play Wolfenstein 2 because that's at least got an interesting new idea where the Nazis have taken over America and you have to take it back. There we go. That's my argument.
That just sounds like a really shitty Red Dawn, to be honest.
Well, if you give me a choice between the two, this is what I'll pick.
Well, that's pretty much what most stories that involve some force occupying America. They're either the Man in the High Tower, or I guess it's called the Man in the High Castle, or Red Dawn.
Sorry, this is bugging the crap out of me. There we go.
Which I still need to see, Man in the High Castle. I've heard it was good.
What was that?
Well, it's just I was basically making the point that any story involving the either the Axis or some foreign power that we're pissed off at for the day is usually got between either Man in the High Castle, where they actually think things through of what would happen in the world, or Red Dawn. And not even like the original. I'm talking remake Red Dawn.
Yeah,
where they don't actually think through.
Okay. Never mind. Okay, for a second there, I was like, Red Dawn. The original one was Red Brown in that. I can't remember.
No, like the original. I think it had Patrick Swayze in it.
Okay, there we go. It's hard for me to keep these guys at track in my head.
Yeah, because at least like the original had kind of a sense of tragedy to it. The remake was basically, hey, let's try to make Liam Hemsworth famous, and it did not work.
Hey, look, it's that guy from the Hunger Games doing stuff in a war movie. Never would have seen that coming.
or alternately, it's like, oh, is that the guy who plays Thor? Nope, it's just his brother.
Yeah, pretty much. Although, strangely enough, kind of as toned as his brother, so I'll give him that.
Well, that probably is by design, all things considered. It's just, I feel bad because Liam Hemsworth, not Liam.
Older brother's Chris.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So Chris is Thor. Liam is the other brother.
Hunger Games one.
Yeah, Hunger Games one. He's not that bad of an actor. It's just he keeps choosing bad movies.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, just I would actually, and my argument's not sound, but it's a feeling I get that Hunger Games, I think, hurt him more than it helped him, especially when he tried to step out of Hunger Games. And so at that point, I don't know. Some people have actually made the suggestion of like, maybe he ought to wait 5 years and then go get himself his breakout role. I kind of agree with that. Like, let people forget Hunger Games happened and then he can reassert himself.
Yeah. And I mean, he tried doing the drama route with Paranoia. Problem is, Paranoia as a story, one, the title is basically a lie because it does not explore the concept of paranoia, and two, it basically tries to do business espionage as a typical espionage thriller without understanding how espionage actually works.
Well, somebody was actually telling me that Liam had eventually turned down a role to be in the Doc Savage movie that Chris Hemsworth is in, and I actually think that's a good idea.
I thought Doc Savage was being done by The Rock, not Chris Hemsworth. Well,
back when it was Chris Hemsworth that was being speculated as him, that Liam was going to be in it, and Liam already said like, no, I'm not going to be in a movie that my brother's in just because I don't want to be cast as just only doing stuff that he'll do. Kind of like the way that he described it in an interview is like he doesn't want to be Clint Howard compared to Ron Howard, which I don't know why that's a problem because Clint Howard is awesome. I actually like the guy.
But keep in mind, the only people who know about Clint Howard are the people hardcore enough to know that he's in all of Ron Howard's movies. Whereas when most people think of Ron Howard, they think of Opie, they think of the Andy Griffith Show, Happy Days, the narrator from Arrested Development. Basically, people know who what Ron Howard looks and sounds like.
Yeah. All right. So bring things back in. Again, chat, go ahead and let us know the things that you love and hate about E3 2017. We're going to go into this in the next couple of minutes. But we're actually adding a story to the agenda because listeners have spoken. And I believe it was Romney that found the story. So I'm going to go ahead and... no, it was Aldo. So I'm going to go ahead and send the link to you guys in the chat. And we're going to cover that right after Adam West. So...
yes, this one.
We had a bunch of people coming out and saying how unfair this is and all that. So we'll get into it. We're going to keep things as quick as we can because we got lots of E3 stuff to get into. So
Yep.
And Aldo is going to be running late, so let's go ahead and get things started.
All right, let's do this.
All right, sounds
so let me know
speedy.
when you guys are good. Cool. Alex?
Oh, wait, just a second. I feel really stupid. I forgot to open my Audacity.
That might help.
Yeah, hold
be
on. I
awesome.
feel really, really, really sheepish right now.
That's awesome. We are professional here on Geek News Reviews and Opinions, guys. You could tell.
When you said sound check, I was like, shit, I'm not recording.
There you go.
Okay, now I'm recording in Audacity.
And just for the record, look at that. Sweet lighting. Sweet lighting, and it works. Okay, so here we go with the audio video sync. 3, 2, 1. Cool. Let's get this show on the road. Let's have some fun. Yes, we are the most professional podcast ever, Rising Sun. Thank you. And by that, I mean, I wish we were. Welcome, everybody, to yet another episode of Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions, the podcast where we talk the week's events in geek. I'm your host, Adam Mickelson, a.k.a. Drek. I hope everybody's had an awesome week so far because it's been E3. We've had tons of game announcements, both good and bad. And thankfully, I hope everybody took something, at least one thing away from it. For me, that was quite a number of things, but we're going to get into that today, as this is the E3 episode of Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions. And of course, I'm being joined by my regular panel of fellow YouTubers, fellow geeks, fellow awesome guys in general. And let's go ahead and start things off with Brinton Volley of Brinton Volley Gaming. You've fulfilled your requirements to at least be on for this month, so I'm very proud of you. But you're down 2 months, so I just need... People have let me know of the score. I'm just letting you know that the score exists.
Well, I'm glad I'm being held accountable.
So how are we doing this week? How has E3 fared you, Brinton?
I would say it was like all right. There have definitely been better E3s, but I mean, there are definitely things for me that I'm excited for, and then there are just other things that I was like, okay.
yeah, that's the thing. That's kind of my viewpoint too, is that E3 this year was just kind of... I'm not saying it was meh. It was good. It was just good because we got good announcements. We got some bad ones, but everybody, at least everybody that I talked to, walked away with at least one thing they were happy about. So that works out for people. And then we're also being joined by the Shadow Blazer himself, who has made his opinions on E3 very clear. Alex, can you make them any clearer than you have in your statement right there?
Yeah, I can. I've got to be a little honest. I didn't really dive deep into the E3-ness either this particular year. I haven't done so in the last couple of years. My interest in the whole thing has dwindled because, well, the problem with E3 is it's a lot of games that are to be announced, to come, and I don't have any of the next gen systems. I don't know when I'll get the next gen systems. And so it's a little hard for me to kind of get all stoked and hyped for a bunch of stuff that I'm not likely to own right now.
I was going to say, is that your phone?
Yeah. Sorry, I got to take this. I'll be
Your
back.
phone, you want professional bint? All right, there we go. So I guess we lost the Shadow Blazer, at least for a moment. So let's go ahead and go to Stephen Romney of Studio Ghost Utah from the shelf, Romney's Reviews. Romney, how has E3 seen you this week?
Well, much like Alex, I didn't really dive into the E3-ther. I mean, seriously, the pun writes itself. But
I'm giggling.
honest, but yeah, basically, I wasn't able to watch any of the conferences. However, I did look at what was announced. I watched as many of the trailers and demonstrations that I could, or at least that I had the patience to, because watching 28 minutes of someone playing the same level over and over and over again can cause you to go a little batty. So I mainly watched a lot of the trailers that I could watch, that I could find, that actually caught my interest. So I can at least answer some of the questions we'll be discussing tonight. But as for watching the conferences themselves, any gaffes or guffaws that they elicited, well, yeah.
People didn't actually expect a gaffe in the Sony conference. We did expect Hideo Kojima to come out of nowhere and try to do the whole going down the stairs thing again. But he made the announcement very clear. He was off working on Death Stranding. But it would have been funny if they actually tried to redo that gag again just so that he could not care.
Yeah, but then again, lighting setups like that are pretty pricey. So it's probably thinking, yeah, it may have been funny, but we're not paying bajillion dollars to make this one joke. I mean, people have, and
that digital screen was probably worth it for the announcements they had last year, but not necessarily for this one. So that was probably a good idea. And we also are going to be having Aldo Gomez later on tonight, but he's unfortunately running a little late. So we'll just catch him when he gets here. But as you guys have probably guessed, we're going to be talking about E3 2017. I've already done my share of vlogs on all of the conferences and given my thoughts on gameplay demos, everything like that, as much as I could actually do. But first of all, we actually do need to take care of two stories tonight that did happen during E3 that are just as important because, well, you guys made sure that I know that they were important. And the first one, we're going to start off with a little bit of the K2SO budget, which he refuses to give. And that is the passing of a Titan. The passing of Adam West. TV's Adam West passed away over the weekend at 88. I actually understand he has some projects still in the works that are going to come out over time, including another Batman animated movie. I didn't realize his animated movie did really, really well. But yeah, he has a sequel for it and a couple of other projects in the wings. But yeah, this was really sad because Adam West is like, if I were to actually say people that personify geekdom to some extent that have been around for so long, I would actually dare say either Stan Lee or Adam West. Because Adam West is an awesome actor. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's done some awesome stuff aside from things like Batman, but he knows just when to ham it up and to get hilarious. And so at that point, I've got to hand it to him. But yeah, unfortunately, he passed away over the weekend. I will miss him personally because Adam West actually was one of the few characters I still enjoyed on shows like Family Guy or when he would occasionally show up in a Lego Batman game. I'm kind of surprised he didn't get a cameo in the Lego Batman movie, but that didn't happen. Let's just go ahead and get into our opinions really quick. Romney, your thoughts on the passing of Adam West?
Well, it is pretty sad. I mean, say what you will about his depiction of Batman. Although people's opinions of the more campy William Dozier-produced Batman show have softened over the years, it still very much... there was a video that MovieBot put out talking about kind of how much of a big deal it was, and that if not for the Batman television series, we probably wouldn't even have any of the DC movies we have today, because it basically kept the character from falling into obscurity. And Adam West definitely took it in stride. He didn't go through kind of the I am not Spock phase. I mean, granted, the role was iconic enough that his career, he basically couldn't find work as anything other than a parody of either Batman or of himself.
Of Adam West, yeah.
Of Adam West, but he at least took it in good stride. He didn't really seem that bitter about it. I mean, when you look at the way he interacted with fans at the first Salt Lake Comic-Con, he definitely was in good spirits, so it is a shame that he passed away, but well, his legacy is definitely going to live on in more ways than I think people may not even realize.
Yeah, I mean, like, when I hear about the occasional argument from, say, like Daniel Radcliffe or other people who are complaining about being typecast, I usually always go to Adam West, is that I'm sure he had those exact same problems. He felt like he was getting typecast way too much, but he never let that show in front of the fans that adored him, kind of thing. He would come out and he would still be the Adam West that they not expected, but that they felt he was. And then I actually think to some extent he took things even more in the right direction. Is, when people wanted him to be TV's Batman, he would just ham it up. My perfect example here is eventually he did an adaptation of that character for Fairly Odd Parents, where he played Catman, and he hammed the crap out of that, and it's hilarious to hear him do that. And that's really how you take that typecasting.
Well, yeah, and on the same token, you also have on the opposite end of that spectrum with Batman the Animated Series and the episode The Grey Ghost, where they basically decided to actually bring Kevin Conroy and Adam West together. And instead of it being, we're going to make fun of the campy Batman, it's like, no, let's actually acknowledge the influence here, where basically Adam West plays to explain the episode, The Grey Ghost is a fictional TV show in the universe of Batman the Animated Series that Bruce Wayne watched as he was growing up prior to the tragic events in that alleyway. And basically, the episode starts because the villain of the episode is imitating capers and crimes from episodes of The Grey Ghost. But because most of the episodes were lost, there were no prints, he decides to go to the only person who knows what happened in the episode, the main actor, played in this episode by Adam West.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I've always appreciated Adam West for taking on those roles and just continuing to ham it up and continuing to be himself, because I really do think that that's the positive approach that people should take to the horrors, because there are horrors of typecasting. Eventually you will end up in a rut, and I think Adam West is probably one of the few that adapted to it well. Alex, your thoughts on the passing of Adam West?
Wow, just end of a legacy right here. When I was a really young kid, my dad and I would watch the old 60s Batman together, and so that was really my first exposure to Batman, was the old campy Adam West show. So that always holds a special place in my heart, and I've always loved Adam West's various cameos or kind of roles, like on The Simpsons when he's in the Mr. Plow episode, and he's basically again playing a caricature of himself.
Yeah,
making fun of how he was the old campy 60s Batman. So
even I'll admit, he made Family Guy funny. When you had a really in-depth Adam West shtick, it was hilarious. Just because I know they painted the mayor of Quahog as like an idiot, and it was Adam West. They painted him as an idiot, but it worked so well. Yeah. I think they even did a couple of episodes where he thought he was conspiring against himself.
Yes, that definitely was an episode, and it was glorious.
Yeah, those are good ones. I can honestly tell you this weekend I'm going to be watching as much Adam West stuff as I can, just to shed that tear and have that moment again. Brinton, what about you? What are your thoughts on the passing of this TV titan?
I feel like it's like any celebrity that you come to love and really, really appreciate. It always comes as a shock. You just never expect things like that to happen, and it just kind of reminds you how short life is, and makes you appreciate who that person was in that moment when you find out. I know definitely I loved how he made fun of himself and how kooky and just crazy he was in Family Guy as the Quahog mayor, and that's where I absolutely enjoyed his comedy the most. So it's going to be really sad to see how they write him out of the show, because Family Guy, as we all know, is super off the wall, super crazy, not borderline, just flat out stupid sometimes. But when they really want to make you have the feels, they know how to make you have the feels. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all goes down in Family Guy, and it may be a difficult episode.
It's possible. I think correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, but the mayor of The Simpsons has been written out, hasn't he?
I have no idea. I haven't watched any recent Simpsons.
Because there's no, I believe the guy that was playing him stopped because it was the stereotypical Kennedy impression.
I have no idea if Mayor Quimby is gone. I would think Mrs. Krabappel might be gone because Marsha Wallace died a couple of years ago, but
Yeah,
I can't.
they wrote Edna Krabappel out. And honestly, although some people may be expecting some sort of big send off, as lovable as his character on Family Guy is, it's not that hard to write that small of a character out of the show.
You'll find something to do. So with that, I think we're just going to leave that there, and you guys can leave your comments below on your favorite memories of Adam West. Let's go ahead and send those out. And I especially liked one thing that I saw in the Twitterverse, which was basically, and then God handed him his devil repellent bat spray and says, "Go to town." So I thought that was a nice little homage, considering everything that Adam West has done. So thank you, Adam West, for continuing to fuel geekdom as long as you did. But let's go ahead and get into the next story, which is a little bit more on the sad notion again, because we got another announcement that happened along with E3. Crap, people will not be quiet about this one. So a popular GTA 5 modding tool has officially shut down. It is called I think it was like Pro 4.
Open 4.
Open 4 is I believe it's a single player mod that you could actually use to basically break the game. You could make yourself super powerful. You could add additional models into it, and people were using it really actively. And so at that point, so much so that the people over at Take-Two Interactive decided that they were able to get too much leeway into the game's code, and therefore this was a violation of their copyright, and immediately sent a cease and desist order to the creator of Open 4. And unfortunately, Open 4's creator just looked at this and went, well, I could fight it, but there would be no benefit in it for me, because I would have to put up so much money, so much effort into lawyers, and I would probably, even if I did win, it would be such a loss financially that it's not worthwhile for me to fight it. So he in turn decided to shut down Open 4, and this is the part where the community exploded. Now, here's the thing. I've seen comments that go against the Open 4 creator and saying he's too much of a, quote, well, wuss or douche to actually fight this off. I'm not going to say the actual words because, well, they get pretty colorful. And then there are also some in support saying, this really sucks, but we understand your kind of viewpoint. And then there are others just going, well, how am I supposed to break my GTA 5 now? And I think my opinions are fairly clear on this. If Take-Two felt like this was going to infringe on their copyright and into their code, then this is well within their rights to send that cease and desist order. I'm kind of surprised it took them this long to do it, because Open 4 had been running for quite a while, the way that the story in Kotaku, or the Kotaku story we have, portrays it. But they did. And now they're defending their copyright. Like I said, I'm kind of surprised it took them this long, but it is within their rights to defend that intellectual property. So let's go ahead and open things up to the panel before I get all the private server community mad at me again. Brinton, your thoughts on Open 4's eventual closing?
Well, I'm not really a huge modder, and I'm not really somebody who uses mods in general. So all I really can say, and I'm going to try to be straight to the point with it, is that it is unfortunate. I think what the modding community is super, super cool. And it's kind of a shame that they won't be able to continue on doing it. But at the same time, like you said, if there's no benefit in fighting it and it's just going to be a loss in the end, then I believe that he's doing the right thing by saying, hey, like, it's going away. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, because to my knowledge, he's not earning, like, this is not a payable thing you can, or like he's getting some kind of a fee online. This is completely something that he wanted to do, and he's not getting anything for it. So really, he'd lose in the long run, affording lawyers and all that just to keep his mod going.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, like, I get where that community is coming from. their anger, their reaction, but I mean, it's just one of those things. It is what it is. The end. That's
Yeah,
all I got for
exactly.
you.
Alex and Romney, do either of you guys have thoughts on the Open 4 fiasco?
Well, to kind
Hey.
of Sorry, go
Oh,
ahead,
go ahead,
Alex.
Rob. Go ahead.
All right. Well, what I was going to say, and it's actually a statement that the writer of the article issued in the comments of Kotaku that kind of sheds a little more light on why they did it. It's that, yeah, it allows you to modify the game's single-player experience, but people were also using it to modify GTA Online,
Yeah.
and that was causing havoc in the multiplayer community. So on that front, I can kind of understand where Take-Two was coming from. It probably wasn't so much they're infringing our copyright. It's more like, okay, they're basically making the multiplayer aspect of our game that we invested a lot of money to maintain nigh unplayable because too many people are abusing it. And so that looks to be more the reason why Take-Two decided to take it down more than anything else. I mean, granted, it's still, there is no way to say it, it is technically an infringement of their copyright to basically modify the software. I mean, that's in most EULAs for most PC games that you tend to find, but it's very much a case of, well, I can kind of see where Take-Two is coming from. I mean, it sucks. Modding is kind of a big draw for a lot of PC games, but if it's making the multiplayer experience not enjoyable for a lot of players, well, that's a problem.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up that point, because like when I did my homework on this one, because you guys sent this in droves, I haven't played a GTA game since Vice City, and so I didn't really know what was going on in GTA 5 or in GTA Online. I went to one of my best friends who plays it religiously, and he hadn't actually heard the news yet, and so when I brought that up to him, he was overjoyed, and it's simply because his interactions on GTA Online were from these super modded characters that these guys would make that would just instantly own or ruin whatever experience he was trying to do online. So he was really happy that this eventually was shut down. I know that the reaction is 50-50 online, but I mean, that says something. For a guy who doesn't get online that often, the fact that he would get onto GTA Online and come across these super modded characters and it just ruined his experience. I mean, like, we're talking guys that I believe there's, you can gun these people down. So just think about that. Like, Alex, you walk into GTA Online level 1 and all of a sudden this capped mother effer with a freaking rocket launcher just ends you, kind of thing. That's what my friend was walking into. And so I can understand why he doesn't want that anymore. That ruins his experience. Alex, your thoughts on Open 4?
Yeah, it really sucks. I feel for the creator of the mod, and I totally get why he doesn't want to fight it, because it would cost him a lot of money, and there is a good chance he would probably lose anyway. So really, what would be the point? It is just in his best interest to shut it down in the face of a C&D. It does suck that it's definitely another case of the few ruin it for the many, because people were using it to manipulate online code for the online play. They weren't just, having fun with themselves for the single player. They were actually, gaming the system for the online. So I always hate that when it's like you have to be punished because of a few people's stupid actions. So,
and I'll bet that wasn't even his original intentions.
No, I mean, it rarely is. It's a lose-lose situation either way. He has to lose on having a mod that drew people to him and his efforts as a programmer. Take-Two loses because it just makes them look like corporate bullies for, oh, you're going after some poor guy's freeware. Ooh, big old company, can't stand a little competition, right? And and the modders lose because, well, then because it just keeps reinforcing negative stereotypes in the modding community.
Yeah. Thankfully, though, we still do have Take-Two may not necessarily be that guy, but we do actually have companies that do care about their modding communities and continuing to support them. So at least this is not a complete and full loss. Because here's the thing: people make craptastic mods for those communities too, and probably get a better reception, or eventually the community will just knock them off. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and step into E3. And so basically what we're going to do here, I could do like a best and worst of each conference, but as you guys have seen in past years, it doesn't really work. So I actually reached out to a couple of friends on Twitter, on Facebook. I reached out to you guys as well to try and give me kind of a feel and a viewpoint of questions that we could answer that would be able to cover this stuff, but not necessarily from a conference by conference scale. Because if we did that, again, we'd be here all night. I mean, we had 6 conferences overall. And people already saw, like, with my videos, how long it took to be able to get those out. And I was actually running late the entire week because of stupid weather and stupid PC issues and all that fun stuff. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the first question, which is fairly obvious. Which conference did you enjoy and which one did you hate the most out of them? So I'll go ahead and start things off with my example, which is the one that I enjoyed the most, and I didn't actually expect that I would. I actually enjoyed Microsoft's conference this year. I thought it was a step above what they've been able to do in past years. I actually thought that the Xbox One X would bore the crap out of me, but as a tech geek, I actually was surprised at what that machine could actually do. So I'm gonna give the enjoy credit this year to Microsoft. Everybody else was just 50-50 for me because you had some good announcements, you had some bad, and you had to just kind of wedge your way through them. But my hate is really easy to put that out because it usually is that every year. Hail be, praise be to the Electronic Arts. I could not stand that conference. It irritated me on so many effing levels. In fact, if you guys don't know how much it irritated me, go check out our buddy Vixie and Anime and Manga Box, and there's an entire segment based on my rage on one of her podcasts. So let's go ahead and open things up. Brinton, which conference did you love and hate the most?
Oh man. First, I just want to say that actually, okay, never mind. I was about to make a comment that would have made sense because I decided to use my brain. The one that I liked most.
Glad you decided to use your brain.
Yeah,
that sounds like a good idea.
I'm kind of glad I decided to use my brain too, let me tell you. But the one that I liked the most, I want to say Ubisoft, but I did not get a chance to watch the Ubisoft conference beforehand, so I can't really say that because it would just be a biased opinion on others who really enjoyed it. I would have to say then the conference that I liked the most out of all that I saw, honestly, I don't really think that I had a favorite conference. I can tell you that the one that I liked the least was Microsoft, personally for me, but everything else I felt was like pretty on par, and I was like overall I was okay with what was talked about, but there wasn't anything in specifically that was just like, ooh, wow, amazing. Maybe if I had watched Ubisoft, I would have a different response, but that's the one I have based on what I did watch. And then, like I said, the one that I liked the least was Microsoft, and that pretty much was just because I personally felt that it was an entire conference of Microsoft employees getting on stage and literally shaking their dicks around saying, look, we have the bigger dick, Sony. Look at this powerful console we have. How many times can we say the world's most powerful console in a conference before everybody hates us? Like, that's literally how it came off to me.
Dude, I made it a drinking game. Like, every time they said Xbox One X, I'm like, if you could say that 3 times fast, I'll take a drink.
Like, literally, that was their entire conference. And then it was followed up with trailers for 22 exclusive titles that literally had zero interest to me. I sat there and I was like, wow, the world's most powerful console, and I still don't really have anything to play on it because the 2 games that came out of that conference that I personally am looking forward to, I can play on PlayStation 4.
I was actually kind of surprised they got that reveal, like, because I remember you were excited when Life is Strange got announced, and so at that point, I'm surprised that Microsoft got that reveal and not Sony.
Yeah, same here, and so I was just like, and again, also for like Assassin's Creed Origins. I was like, oh great, I'll probably play that on PlayStation. And then Life is Strange. Again, I'll probably play that on PlayStation. And by the and that is my honest opinion about the Microsoft conference.
Okay, so I missed your best. Was it Ubisoft?
No, I don't have a best.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make
like,
sure.
yeah, I want to say Ubisoft, but I didn't watch it, so I have to answer the question honestly on what I did watch. And everything else I saw, it was kind of like neutral for me. And I know that's like really weird to explain it like that, but there wasn't anything that was like, ooh, wow. It was just like, okay.
And again, I would agree with you. Like Sony, even Sony and Nintendo this year were pretty lackluster. That's why I'm giving credit to Microsoft. You know, like I agree with you. They did waggle their dicks around quite a bit, but at least this was more entertaining than like the last 2 or 3 years where they kept on hinting at, oh, you're gonna love this whole Scorpio thing, but oh yeah, but go ahead and check out these other games that are not even coming out anywhere remotely this year.
But I mean, don't get me wrong. I am very impressed with the Xbox One X. Will Nathan and I be getting it? Probably not, because we'll be on our honeymoon when the console comes out. But
I've already decided, unless my Xbox One breaks down, I'm not getting one.
Yeah, like personally, I'm really happy with my Xbox One S. I got like a special GameStop edition one, and it's like this really cool shade of blue. I don't plan on ever giving that up unless it like is indefinitely broken and beyond repair. So, yeah. So yes, I was impressed by the reveal of Project Scorpio, but ultimately in the end, we have the world's most powerful console, and the games I'm excited for, I can play on a PlayStation 4 Pro.
There we go. Well, at least we could breathe a sigh of relief, because for as much as Scorpio got hyped, I mean, you would have thought that was like the beginning of the ninth generation of consoles. So we have the Nintendo Switch, which I'm considering ninth generation, even though a lot of people aren't. And then there you go. Xbox is like, oh, I guess we're expecting the PS5. And I don't want it that soon.
I don't think it's even necessary, but I don't want to take away from anybody else. That's my response.
So Alex, you've already made it kind of clear you didn't watch too many of the conferences, but I'm pretty sure you watched enough to be able to have a like and a hate. So which one did you enjoy and which one did you hate?
Well, I didn't watch any of the conferences. I just watched your highlight reels after.
Okay.
So in terms of if there's anything to get me interested remotely, kind of maybe just default to Nintendo, because I'm still interested enough in the Switch soon enough. Not immediately on the horizon, because Rami and I are still both in the disgruntled late Wii U adopters here. Yep. So I'll kind of give default to Nintendo, because they did pull out some surprises. You know, we were all, let's face it, we were all making fun of you, Adam, last week about, oh, Adam, you and your foolish dreams of them announcing Metroid. What happens? They announced 2 Metroid games. Boy,
we're so Adam Land actually got something right, except, well, we'll get into that.
So, yes. You know, Nintendo had its faults from what I got out of your analysis, but still, they did pull a few surprise punches. And but can I just say, Xbox One X, really, Microsoft? Just really? This just
I mean, the first thing that came to my mind was say it 3 times fast.
It's just it invokes again the whole angry video game nerd moment when he's talking about the bit wars. It's like, I want the Super Nintendo for Christmas. This one's 16-bit. What's that? I don't know. That's going to be everybody's experience now when they ask for an Xbox One X.
And even better was like, I actually saw people complaining, and this was a simple complaint of the Xbox One X, I'm not kidding you, was simply, damn it, I can't call it Xbone anymore because I can't say it.
Xbone X.
Xbone X. Xbone X. Bone. Xbone. Crap, you end up in an endless loop. Romney, your best and your worst of E3.
Well, much like Alex, I didn't watch any of the conferences, but some of the trailers I did see, I do have a like and a hate in terms of the trailers that I saw. As for the trailer / presentation that I liked what we saw of the new Spider-Man game that's being developed for PS4. or as I like to call it, Metal Gear Spider-Man.
It is Metal Gear Speedo Man.
Yeah, but at the very least, it looks like the people making it have a genuine passion for the character. They actually are wanting to do a good job. And so, honestly, a stealth game centered around Spider-Man isn't the weirdest thing ever because, well, Spider-Man isn't as strong as the other Marvel heroes. He does have to be kind of stealthy from time to time. And the story that we're teased is legitimately interesting.
Okay, really quick before you go any further, did you stick around long enough for the Easter egg at the end?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I wasn't sure. But people have already been asking me, like, what are my thoughts on that particular reveal? I'll get into it later.
Yeah, like the short version of my reaction to that is, could have been handled better.
Yeah.
But that's like one of the best of the E3 presentations that I saw was the trailer / demo for Spider-Man. The trailer that had me, I wouldn't say hate, but had me roll my eyes the most. And this is probably going to get a lot of really pissed off Squeenix fans on my case. But I'm sorry, but the Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer does not make me excited for Kingdom Hearts 3.
Really?
Aside from the fact of, one, they made it too long, but then I literally, and this isn't really a spoiler because it's in the freaking trailer, oh, he's trying to bring Roxas back. Oh, so the fan fiction writer is trying to bring back their favorite OC that they killed off earlier for the sake of dramatic tension.
Well, yeah, and my guess is that they're more referring to the Birth by Sleep character, but yeah, I can kind of see your point.
They say Roxas by name. If it was Birth by Sleep, they would have called him Ventus. But no, they say Roxas by name.
But Sora wouldn't know that name.
True, but given what else we learn, and especially when you consider the context of Birth by Sleep being in the information that King Mickey sends him in the letter at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, it's very much one of those cases of, okay, they are not doing this of, oh, we're bringing Ventus back. It's like, no, this is just very much, let's bring back a fan favorite character. It worked so well for Axel.
Yeah. I mean, Lee, I can already feel my wife like stomping into this room to correct you. So
Yeah.
we'll go ahead and go into the next question, which was, what was your favorite featured game at E3? Now, Romney's already kind of mentioned that I think his favorite featured game was the Marvel Spider-Man from PS4. Mm-hmm. So if you have like a close second, feel free to bring that in there too. My favorite featured game, because I'm more aiming towards stuff that actually had gameplay for it. You know what? I'm actually going to pass. Brinton, do you have yours?
Yeah, I do. I have two, actually.
Go ahead.
I was, one you already know, I'm really excited for A Way Out. Mostly because it's a interesting direction for a video game. Obviously, we have multiplayer games. That's obviously a given. But one where the campaign is like specifically you have to play with two people, and as the game is happening, two entirely different things could be going on, eventually to the point where you're working together. I thought that was extremely cool. And I know the first thing Nathan said to me was, "We're playing this," and I was like, "Yeah, we are." And then the second game that I'm still excited for is Super Mario Odyssey, just because it looks like they are just making so many changes to 3D Mario platformers and really just evolving and refining and just improving just the 3D Mario platformer. And I'm super excited to get my hands into it and see how they pull it off, essentially. It just feels a little bit more open world, and like more open world than normal. And let's just say that I'm glad that it's coming out sooner than later than I thought, because I was assuming it was like more November, December, but the October 27th release date is more than perfect for me.
So yeah, I've got my two, and mine, just because they're tied, I'm picking something that I know is probably coming out in 2018 or holiday season, but we had gameplay, we had a trailer, and it all came together and actually came out as a tie for me as well, which was God of War, because contrary to a lot of people who don't like the fact that we're trying to reintroduce Kratos as kind of a guy who's learned from his past mistakes. I like the decision to do that. I think it's amazing, and I love the interactions with what we can now confirm is his son. And of course, Christopher Judge as him is absolutely awesome, and nobody will tell me otherwise. The other one is Mario Odyssey, because I get the people, like, the last one that I actually had the feeling of, oh my gosh, this is nostalgic Mario and it's awesome, was probably Galaxy. I do like the Galaxy trailer. This is the first one since that has actually made me go, holy crap, I have to get this game. I have to get it for my kid. We have to play it. I want to be like that 5-year-old and re-experience Mario with my daughter in tow. And the thing that did it for me, and this is silly and I don't care, was T-Rex Mario.
Right?
Did you see the little mustache at the end? That was awesome.
That was so adorable. I cannot wait to do that.
So you had Mario, or you had a big old T-Rex with a tiny little hat on his head and a little mustache at the end, and it was great. It was awesome. We're talking like Steven Spielberg T-Rex, people.
Like, oh my gosh, and the most adorable thing I've ever seen in a Mario game. And trust me, I've said some pretty adorable things, or have made mention of some adorable things in Super Mario Galaxy 2. But so far, Odyssey is just like completely winning in the adorable category for me.
Yeah. All right, and then the Shadow Blazer. What featured game? Because I'm guessing not only did you watch this stuff, but you probably caught a few trailers. What to you was your favorite featured game of E3? I have a feeling I know at least one of these, but it wasn't featured, it was announced.
As far as like what gameplay footage was shown, because I don't put a lot of stock into game trailers anymore. And as far as what was shown is, well, big surprise. I did like what little we could see more of Sonic Mania. Now that we're starting to see some sneak peeks at some more levels, because mostly what's been revealed have been old classic rehashed levels, but now we're seeing some new ones. And one in particular was a desert level, which to me it reminded me, and the way it was designed just kind of reminded me of the unused desert level from Sonic 2 that has made it into the subsequent Sonic 2 Lost World ROM hacks. So that to me says, oh, there is going to be some interesting kind of mix and match of retro and new stuff. So that's getting me a bit more intrigued now.
Just curious, did you see the Forces trailer?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, I can't make the Sonic Jorah I can't make the Sonic Jorah reference to you because you won't get it. Because they announced the villain, and he looks like Sonic, but he has Majora's Mask on him.
Oh, wow.
So I'm calling him Sonic Jorah from here on.
That's funny.
Nice.
Yep. Romney, your favorite featured game at E3?
Yeah, I've been racking my brain just going through all the trailers that I saw, at least ones that actually showed us actual gameplay. And so second to Spider-Man, I guess close second would have to be the Metroid 2 remake for 3DS. Just in terms of ones that actually made me kind of at least curious enough to actually want to buy. That's like the only other game that elicited the response, and that's like the only game Nintendo announced that I'm even remotely interested in. Yes, even Fire Emblem Heroes to me looks kind of boring because, well, it's just Dynasty Warriors.
All right.
So,
okay, so I think we've gone into this one. So the next question is, what surprise? And I put this in air quotes. What surprise announcement did you absolutely love seeing at E3? And for me, this actually comes down to a three-way tie. And the reason being is because, unlike Romney, I actually liked the Kingdom Hearts trailer. And the main reason I liked it was because Square Enix had made it clear it wasn't going to show up. And even though I have some disagreements with you as well on where they were going with the story, I did like the fact that at the end, they basically said, we know that you guys wanted us to be here. So here's what's going to happen in a month. We're going to give you a brand new trailer and a brand new world. And I could already tell you, like, you guys think my squee is loud. You should have heard my wife's when she saw that. Because she was ecstatic. So I got to mention that because it was a surprise announcement. They had told us very clearly it wasn't going to be there. The second that I'm going to give is Beyond Good and Evil 2. Now you guys can leave me alone. I have so many friends that are Beyond Good and Evil fans that are all just instantly texting me going, "Oh my God, 15 years, we've been waiting." They were crying as much as Michel Ansel, I think is his name, was crying on stage when he announced it. And, well, I haven't played Beyond Good and Evil, but this made me want to. So I like that surprise announcement. And then the third one was, and Romney brought it up, Samus Returns, the Metroid 2 remake. But I have to acknowledge I feel a little dirty liking that trailer. Because Alex can actually attest to this. I have been making some very strong arguments over the last few months for us to play AM2R. Even though we know that it would create problems with Nintendo, even though we would probably never get a single dime of monetization out of it, I had been making some very strong arguments to go and play it because it was in the Metroid Zero Mission engine. But now Samus Returns has been announced, and I'm at least happy that the AM2R creator is just as excited as me for the Metroid 2 remake. So there we go. Those were the surprise announcements that I loved. Romney, what was a surprise announcement that you absolutely loved seeing at E3?
Definitely hard to say since, again, I was looking at a lot of this stuff after the fact, so I wasn't really sure which ones were the surprises.
Okay.
And I hadn't seen the trailer for Beyond Good and Evil. I saw the Kingdom Hearts one because that one kept getting pushed into my YouTube feed because, well, internet traffic and all. So, unfortunately, I can't really think of any major surprises except, and this was mainly not because of the actual excitement of the product itself, but kind of what it triggered in our little Facebook group. And that was the announcement of Metroid Prime 4. I mean, literally, I saw to explain to the listeners/watchers, on our little secret Facebook page where we gather stories, I literally was watching when that announcement went. I just went, okay, here's my popcorn. There's Aldo and Adam right on cue. And I just watched the madness unfold.
That's too funny.
What makes me feel bad about that too is like I wasn't trying to be mean about it, but like I was trying to give people kind of a perspective on why I wasn't excited about Metroid Prime 4, and Aldo and me just were not in the same field. So maybe that's the reason Aldo's late tonight. I don't know. Maybe I just pissed him off too much. I don't know. I'm kind of worried about that, but yeah, that did happen, and. See, I don't want to get into that just yet because that's actually my answer for the next question. So if you don't mind, Romney, I'm going to keep that to myself, at least for the moment. But yeah, I can kind of see why your reaction would be that way. Alex, did you have a surprise announcement that you were excited to see at E3?
Not really.
You know what? No, I'm not even buying that stuff because even though it wasn't at E3, I know of at least one thing you were excited about.
Yeah, but it wasn't at E3, so why would I include it?
But I don't see a reason why not to include it. So what we're talking about is that I don't know if I'm actually going to... Is it GU is what it's actually called? So the GU trilogy for PS2 is actually being remade for PS4.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, he's referring to .hack GU.
Yeah, .hack GU. The 3 episodes are going to be remade, I think, all in one game that you can get on PS4. So I actually kind of wondered if that was going to be your sole motivation to get a PS4. Like that was going to be it. That was going to be the thing that threw you over.
It is going to be a big driving force. That much is for sure. Because as a little bit of context, one of the big motivators for me to get a PS2 way back when was the original 4 games, because I just seen the anime. So that was a huge motive to get a PS2 back then. This is a big motive to get the PS4. I'd like to see a bit more in terms of what they're going to do with the game, because they've also announced, well, first of all, they're condensing 3 decently length RPGs onto one game. In fairness, we're talking Blu-ray PS4 technology as opposed to old PS2 DVD technology. So I think it's possible. I'm curious how much of the story they're going to be able to fit into this one single remake here, as well as, well, the visual style, because it seems like they're indicating they might be changing up the visual style, which begs the question, what kind of visual style are they going to go for? CyberConnect did just come off of working on Final Fantasy VII, the remake Final Fantasy VII. They were released, fine, but they did just come off working from that. So it's like, are we going to say go Final Fantasy style? Are we going to go maybe Sword of Ashura's Wrath, which they did a few years ago with Capcom? I thought
they actually, in the article, showcased some of the new models.
I didn't see any. I just only saw...
There was like a blonde girl that looked like she was up to PS4 caliber.
It looked pretty much like the pre-renders from the PS2, to be honest.
Okay.
So I don't think they showed anything really new off. So,
all right.
So I am curious about what kind of visual style CyberConnect is going to pull out, and just how much of the original 3 games they're going to be able to condense into one single game.
Okay. The other thing that I think also would kind of count for you, because we did bring it up last week, was this was a surprise announcement in the Xbox conference, and you are such a strong proponent of it that I think if you'd actually heard this on a Sony console, you'd probably flip your lid. But the announcement of original Xbox backwards compatibility, because they'd already announced the 360 compatibility, and now they're going even further back. So I'm pretty sure, like, if this had been announced on a PlayStation console, you'd be flipping your lid right now. How do you feel about that for Xbox fans?
Little surprised considering what we just talked about last week, saying not many people are using the backwards compatibility, but, well, if Microsoft still sees the incentive to continue with backwards compatibility, even as far back to the original, then good on them. I say good on them.
And to that story's credibility, to that story's credit, a lot of their analysis was based on playing that past game online. So at that point, we didn't actually know like how many of these games have been downloaded and are single player experiences, and people wanted to play them. So at that point, yeah, the numbers are probably a lot bigger if you take into account these single player story games. And yeah, so maybe there was enough of a motivator to do original Xbox. I'm just saying that's definitely a possibility at this point. Would you agree, Alex?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. Brinton, your special announcement that you absolutely loved, and I already know what this is, but we're going to give the floor to you.
Life is Strange Before the Storm. Hands down.
Just curious, how many episodes was the original one?
5.
So are you disappointed that they said it was only going to be 3?
No, because I read a blog post by Nod, and they stated that this was meant to be a surprise. This is a prequel to Life is Strange. They are still developing a 5-episode Life is Strange 2.
Yep,
which they kept their word on. They were not going to show at E3 this year, but the fact that they kept this so well hidden and that nobody had any clue that this was happening, because I'm surprised something like this did not get leaked, just completely put me over the edge. The second that trailer started playing, and I just recognized the art style immediately, and I was like, oh my gosh. Nuh-uh. And I just completely overwhelmed with emotions from playing the first game. And then when they got to the end, and I was like, holy crap, like, what are we gonna see? And then they showed August 31st. I was like, seriously?
That's pretty fast.
I was just like, holy crap, this is insane. I mean, it comes out the same week that I start hopefully my final semester of college, but I was just like, oh my gosh, no freaking way. I was so happy, and it was one of those true moments where you just were not expecting something like that at all, and it just fills you with so much joy. So oh my gosh, I can't even, like, it's hard for me to like accurately express how excited I am, because all I want to do is just play it and see what story they want to share with us before Sam and Chloe found each other again. So
see, what's really funny is like when I actually got around to that trailer, and again, I was running late, people. I had numerous issues, and I was not able to watch these conferences live. And what I found funny was the second that I got just barely done with the Beyond Good, the Life is Strange. I was about to say Beyond Good and Evil, the Life is Strange trailer. That's when my Facebook Messenger exploded by Brinton. It was like, "Oh my gosh, Life is Strange prequel is happening!" I'm like, "Wow, is he as late as I am?" So, but
yeah,
I agree with you on that one. Like, if you've been waiting a good couple of years and you didn't know necessarily if anything was going to be coming, again, like I would actually say you were in the same situation as Kingdom Hearts, where they were told nothing was going to be at E3, and then all of a sudden, boom, you get a trailer announcement.
Yeah, absolutely. Because after Life is Strange ended, and this was the end of 2015, so almost 2 years now, they had already said, "Oh yeah, we'll make a sequel." There's enough, we've made enough money, there's enough support, we got the okay from essentially our higher ups, we will make a sequel. So now that it's been almost 2 years since the finale of Life is Strange, just to be able to play something again and return back to that universe, I guess you could say, I just can't wait.
There you go. It's okay, man. Squee. It's all right. It works. She squeed at Kingdom Hearts. I squeed at Metroid 2. It happened. So let's go ahead and get into the next one, which was we got into the surprise announcements that we loved. Now, what disappointing announcement did you have to prepare yourself for? Like, you knew it was going to be there. You were not happy about it, but you pulled yourself up by your bootstraps and you endured it. All right. So like you were just okay with it. And I can already tell you 2 come to mind for me. Battlefront 2. If anybody didn't expect this to happen, it's happening. Battlefront 2. And then the other one that I knew was going to happen, and it just frustrated the living crap out of me, was, and now I have a brain fart right as I'm introducing it. Damn it. Yes, Assassin's Creed Origins. And I know that you and me, Brinton, are not in agreement with this, but I'm literally looking at it and going, I get that you want to add a bunch of new stuff, but I kind of want like a good story before you add more RPG mechanics. That's just was my viewpoint on the matter, and unfortunately, I was hoping Ubisoft would calm my fears on that matter. It didn't really, because the Ubisoft conference actually addressed Origins very lightly. I would actually say we got more on the Microsoft conference than we did on Ubisoft. So those are the 2, but higher up is Star Wars Battlefront 2, because I hate to say it, guys, and I've gotten into arguments all week on this. Yes, it is par with a PS2 game. That's what it is. It's got enough features to put it par with a game that came out years ago. It's not better. It's just par. Even with HD graphics, it's just right on that level. It's par with it. Par for the freaking course. Brinton, what was the disappointing announcement that you had to endure to get through?
Honestly, I don't really think I had I'm legitimately trying to think of something here, because like I said, I watched it and I was just like, okay, this is E3 2017, cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I was I don't think I was disappointed by anything, to be completely honest. I watched it. I was pleased with what was announced. I was happy with the overall presentation of everything, and in the end, the only conference that really annoyed me was Microsoft, for all the reasons I've already talked about. And so I don't really have an answer for this one.
All right. And you know what? That's legit. Alex, what was an announcement that you just had to grit your teeth and bear it when it got announced?
Also, like you, Battlefront 2.
Did you actually? I'm just curious. Did you watch the multiplayer stuff that they showcased?
No, because I don't give a shit about the multiplayer. I just looked at the campaign
Well,
mode.
that's the most that you got out of it. Like you didn't get it. You didn't even get a trailer. So it was like their showcase of the Battle of Theed, and that's where you got a lot of the features for it.
Yeah, I mean, because like you, I don't want to play online with the COD kids, and so just I'm amazed you could even think it's on par with the originals with Battlefront 2 from over a decade ago, because I'm not even sure it's there yet. It's like, okay, yeah, you gave us a big story, big whoop. How long is this? But how long is this campaign is the question. I don't know. They told
the only
us,
thing that I could actually find that said that it wasn't was Galactic Conquest. But even then, I've got people's opinions bouncing back and forth on that matter, saying that yes, Galactic Conquest will be available, but it will be online only. No, it won't be available, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I agree with you. Like, and I even said it in my in my conference overview. I was like, this story freaking writes itself. You know, like as much as I give crap to COD World War II and Battlefield 1 for rehashing stuff that they've done before, Star Wars, I have no problem doing that. I have no problem being a rebel soldier on Endor going through that battle again because it's fun for me. I have no problem being a soldier on the Battle of Hoth. And if you wanted to do just this minor little campaign about a little soldier that made his way through all these battles, I'd be completely fine with it. But the fact that we only got the Imperial announcement and the fact that she had to come out and, oh, geez, that dress was still so stupid. We have to make the dress look like Darth Vader. And so it just,
this is kind of why I'm done with E3, really. It's the whole pomp and circumstance. It's just a little ridiculous at times.
Because they brought the original woman out who's like the person you play as in the campaign mode and did the motion capture and all that stuff. And she's fine. I don't have any issues with her, but the fact that you only have that one story mode, it still frustrates me. Because I don't necessarily want to just play as an Imperial soldier eventually going into the First Order. I wanted to play as a Rebel soldier making their way in either into the Resistance or into the Senate, however they were going to go about it. And so, yeah, that's where I'm going along the lines of par for the course, is that the only thing that I could see that was missing from it, Alex, was Galactic Conquest. And that I can't get the community to agree on.
I mean, it's not just Galactic Conquest, it's everything else. I mean, it's just, again, the Imperials. There's no Rebels, there's no Rebel campaign, there's no Clone Wars, there's no Galactic Republic, there's no CIS. It's the Battlefront, EA Battlefront 1 slightly longer now, with maybe a 2-hour storyline and everything else hidden behind an online paywall.
Pretty much. Well, we probably should clarify that, because the season pass is not a paywall anymore. So before people scream out in the comments, no, that's not the case. It is free this time, and that was a good decision, because the bottom line is that we shouldn't have had to pay $120 for a game again. That's ridiculous. It's absurd. We shouldn't have even had to have done it the first time. And so the fact that they did that, I'll at least give them that compliment. They learned their lesson on that one. It's just too bad they didn't learn their lesson on everything else. What made that even worse was, and you'll have to talk to my wife on this one, Alex, because you'll believe it. I especially loved in the multiplayer preview, they actually said, like, because they showcased heroes a little bit, and they showcased Darth Maul. And one of the things that was announced, they had an announcement team, and it was like, well, we would showcase Republic heroes, because they showcased Rey. It was like, we would showcase Republic heroes, but we don't have any. I'm like,
yes, you do.
Yoda? You announced Yoda. Yoda should be in this demo. Why is it Rey? What, you didn't go around and get an Anakin model? You didn't get an Obi-Wan model? You had access to this. You went to Skywalker Ranch.
That probably was more interference from Lucasfilm saying, hey, promote the new movies.
Yeah, probably. But Rey died so quickly it didn't even matter. Okay, I have a feeling we need to get off this rage. Romney, what is the disappointing announcement that you had to prepare yourself for?
Honestly, I've been done with one, I didn't watch the conferences, and two, I've just kind of been done with the whole hype train in general, so I just kind of went in expecting everything to be terrible.
Well, that is a
that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way. I basically adopted the Yahtzee Croshaw method of just going in expecting everything to be terrible, having some pleasant surprises, but not really. It's very much it's probably just going to be the same song and dance like it is every single year. Overhyped stuff that doesn't live up to said hype, with or without Peter Molyneux involved.
And I just barely got a private message I got to share. So none of you guys announced as a surprising announcement the awesome concept of a campaign mode for Madden, NBA Live, and FIFA /unsub.
Okay, bye, because I don't really give two shits about sports games.
I must, in
That's
fact,
my
admit, I do
response.
not give a crap about Alex Hunter.
I guess the
even though
only
EA
thing
wants me to.
I guess the only thing that I just kind of dreaded looking into, because I knew it was going to be there, is basically what Konami's trying to do, which I like to call damage control for Metal Gear Survive.
Yes, and I found that very interesting that Survive did not make the PlayStation conference. There were a couple that didn't, and some of them were surprising to me. Knack 2 didn't make it, and I was excited for that. But Yakuza 6 didn't make it either, as well as Metal Gear Survive.
Well, given that Kojima was coming out in the Sony conference, that's probably why they didn't want to have Survive in the same show. It's a lot like you're at a high school. Well, yeah, I'm just thinking they probably didn't want to mix too many things, because it'd be like at a high school reunion where you run into an ex that you had a really bad breakup with just a few months before. Kind of awkward.
And your ex drinks your tears. Yeah, that might be a little awkward. All right, so moving on into the next question that we have, which is, what games were you hoping to see but weren't there? I do have one for this, and it's a stupid one. It's Adam Land, but I don't care because there was talk about it from Capcom, and the only Capcom trailer we officially saw in the conferences was Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. But I'd heard talk through the grapevine that there is a Onimusha collection somewhere down the line, because they're talking about rebooting that franchise. And I was really hoping that was going to be one of the bigger Sony announcements, is that was coming to PS4. Sadly, it didn't happen. I was disappointed. But that's really the one that comes to mind. I really wanted to see that, and it didn't happen. And I know a lot of people are just like, well, Onimusha sucks. And I don't care, because it was great when I played it. And it's great when I continue to play it. So let's actually change things up. Alex, what were you hoping to see at E3 but wasn't there?
I kind of wanted to see more about Kojima's Death Stranding. I want to get to know more beyond Sad Man rises out of the oil ocean.
Or just like what other celebrities are part of this thing.
That too.
Because, I mean, is it if I'm saying his name wrong, I'm sorry. Is it Mads Mikkelsen? Is that his name?
Yeah, that's his name.
Yeah. So that reveal, I mean, for crying out loud, was number one for weeks. It's like, holy crap, another celebrity is in this movie game.
It's can I just say that it's also such an odd duo, those two? I just don't imagine, I don't know. I'm a little iffy on it still.
Well, when you say duo, are you talking about the guy from The Walking Dead and then Mads Mikkelsen, or?
Yeah, I don't I just don't ever see them being a compatible, compatible. They just have two very different acting styles.
I can see your point, but I don't know if that necessarily will translate into motion capture. I don't even know if they're even going to be in the same room together doing scenes.
Oh, I guess I wasn't thinking about it in that sense, but
I mean, some games do that, but a lot of motion capture doesn't end up that way.
Okay.
Romney, what was an announcement that you were hoping to see but wasn't there?
Oh, again, kind of going back to the same thing. I just assumed everything was going to be terrible, so I didn't really have anything I particularly wanted to see at E3 because, well, just given how we've basically been moving at a mile a second on the internet, it's very much, okay, well, if it's not at E3, it'll get announced some point down the line. So there was nothing I was really super hoping to see at E3 because it was very much, I have enough games I still haven't even started. So yeah, I think I'm good.
Yeah. Oh, crap. And I just barely realized there was another disappointing thing that I needed to throw in there because Romney did. Let me backtrack and cover that really quick. So Romney brought up earlier the discussion that me and Aldo had. This was another disappointing announcement, and here's why. I like the fact that Metroid Prime 4 is happening. I love the fact that it's in development. I love the fact that we have Kensuke Tanabe. I think I'm saying that name right. Kensuke Tanabe, who's been a producer for the Prime series, including Prime Federation Force, but I wouldn't necessarily say that was his fault. I would say that's the director Jason Carr's fault. But I mean, this looks really, really good. My problem with it is what I have with every other FPS, and it's simply this. I can't play them for that long. I have to go like 20 to 30-minute intervals before I start getting the worst headache imaginable because of the first-person perspective. And that's why I'm not necessarily looking forward to this. Now, Aldo obviously had an opinion of he would have it no other way. And you know what? I can understand that too, because the Prime games are really helped with being in that visor perspective. I get that concept. I just look at it from this perspective of I'm dreading it because I know that as soon as I buy this game, I'm going to have to buy an econo-sized bottle of Advil to be able to make my way through it, not only to review it, but just for my own satisfaction. So before people get on my case and say I absolutely hate Metroid Prime 4 and I hate Metroid Prime fanboys and all that stuff, I don't. I'm going to play Metroid Prime 4. But I'm not necessarily looking forward to it. And that's where we had the disagreement is I was saying like, I would really appreciate it if you gave me an option aside from the morph ball to take things out of the visor and go third person. Even if because here's the thing, if you did that for me, I would still play in the visor because I do think that experience is essential. But I just want that extra little bit so that I don't have to deal with headaches all the time and I can play not just for 20 to 30 minute intervals, but for hours, which is what I usually do with play sessions. So there you go. I'm catching things up so you guys can send your hate because you probably are going to anyway. The next question that I have is, how would you rate this E3 compared to others you've seen? That's where I'm kind of at the sticking in my craw. I can't say that this is the best thing I've seen. If anything, this is basically, it's a good E3. It's not great. It's good. I was amazed that so many, or at least two of the conferences were not an hour long. Those two being Bethesda and Nintendo. And that was a little disappointing. I was also a little disappointed with Nintendo that there was so much focus in their spotlight for first-party Switch support and so little on third-party Switch support. I mean, we had what? Xenoblade 2, which is Monolith Soft, which I would call that third-party, unless somebody wants to correct me on that and say they're second-party. That would be third. And then maybe... Oh... Yeah, was that it? I want to say that was it, aside from Skyrim. Skyrim was Bethesda, so we got a little bit more on that, but more in the Bethesda conference because they announced the Zelda stuff you could now have in Skyrim. So I would say that this has been a good E3. It hasn't been the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it's been good. Romney, where would you stand on that?
Well, I'd say it's just kind of the same as any other E3. Basically, everyone jump on board the hype train and then act surprised when nothing lives up to said hype. To be honest, I've just grown kind of numb to the whole process, so this doesn't really compare to like other E3s as being better or worse. It's just more of the same.
Okay. What about you, Alex? Where are you standing with this one compared to other E3s?
I have to echo Rodney's sentiment. I've talked probably a few times about Nintendo like 4 years ago or so when, they had all this kind of buzz around the Wii U and the Wii U was still kind of fresh, but at the same time, nothing really came out of it. And, it's just like, that was the first time I'd experienced it. So I think I was a little more excited back then, but now, like Romney, I'm just it's just another conference, and this is all information I'll probably hear through the grapevine anyway.
I was about to say, you're taking the approach to E3 that we basically take to the Oscars. That's what's basically happening here. This is reverse Oscars for Alex. Alex is like, you need to care about the Oscars and Razzies.
I'm not saying you need to care or anything about that. it's just more like, well, the thing, E3 in whole retrospect, like I said at the start of the show, it's like, it's a lot of expensive games that I'll probably never get to play. It's for expensive hardware that I don't know if I'll be owning anytime soon, and games that I probably won't play for 2 to 3 years anyway, so it's hard for me to really kind of get that much more invested in it.
But I will say at least this. I think they finally did give you the motivation, because around that time, because you and me had this discussion a few times where it's like, yeah, we really haven't had that one thing that makes me want to own a PS4. And as soon as that .hack announcement came through, I'm like, that's it. That's going to be the thing that puts him over.
Yeah, I'd say so. It is. Yep. It is getting me very, very intrigued.
All right. Brinton, what about you? How would you rate E3 compared to other E3s you've seen?
E3 this year, I'm just gonna, I have to also just kind of be a broken record here. It was okay. It wasn't. It really wasn't anything spectacular. I feel like a lot of the things that were discussed last year amongst all the conferences, excluding Nintendo, because Nintendo only did Breath of the Wild, and this year we actually had a proper E3 from them. But I feel like a lot of the things that were discussed last year were discussed again this year, which is why in my little tagline, I pretty much said E3 2016, games you can't play until 2018. Yes. Because that's what I feel was the epitome of the entire past couple of days. So I've gotten to the end. I'm like, okay, well, I'm still personally excited for what I'm looking out for, and that's that.
Okay. So let's go ahead and go into the last question. Then I actually kind of want to open things up because we're getting a couple of questions via my Twitter feed as well as private message. So we'll get into those because those aren't going to take too long. It's just more of our individual perspectives on specific games. So the next one is, how many games did you actually walk away wanting to own after E3? I'm going to answer this from the review perspective and then from my own, which is obviously tons of games that I can add to my review list, and I'm okay with that, because you guys like the reviews. Whether or not they get formal reviews, I can't answer yet because I want to be able to get my hands on them before then. I didn't actually even, because I've said this already, that Zelda wasn't necessarily going to get a formal review from me unless it wowed me. And thankfully it did, and therefore it's going to get one. Same thing happened with Horizon Zero Dawn. It's going to be getting a formal review, which will be coming soon, hopefully within the next week or two. So you guys can get that. And I'm very happy that now it's relevant again because of the DLC. So, I mean, at that point, I can't really answer it, but obviously there's tons of games that I'll be picking up, at least one game per month. So that's going to be great. From my own perspective, I came away with a few that I wanted to own. Legitimately, I have to own this myself. One of which was obviously Samus Returns, Metroid Samus Returns. Another one was, I can't even remember if it actually had a 2017 release date. No, because God of War didn't have it. And I don't even think the Shadow of the Colossus remaster had a 2017 release date. So
it does not. It doesn't even have a projected release date. It was just Shadow of the Colossus. The end.
I will admit, Life is Strange is a lot more interesting to me, and so I'm looking forward to going into that. But I think I'll get into the first game before I do that.
You definitely have to get into the first game first, or else the prequel will make zero sense.
The other game too that I actually didn't pre-order it, but I looked into digital release for it, was Ori and the Whispering and the Willow. Ori and the Will-O-Wisps, I think is what it, or Whispering Willow.
Will of the Wisps.
Will of the Wisps. Thank you. Too many W's in there, dang it. It's like Xbox One X, man. Say it 3 times fast.
Xbox One X, Xbox One X, Xbox One X, give me a drink.
There. I had actually not played Ori and the Blind Forest, and this made me want to play Ori and the Blind Forest. So I'm already excited for that, and I think that's got a November release date. So we've got stuff that's going to be coming. That I'm excited for. What about Romney and Alex? Were there anything that you wanted to own this year?
Uh, Sonic Mania, but that's kind of a given because I'm still the glutton for punishment with that franchise.
And we just got this in the chat. Shadow of the Colossus will release at the same time as the Final Fantasy VII remake. I think actually they'll beat it this time. Because I mean, we could probably say that about The Last Guardian, but well, The Last Guardian beat Final Fantasy VII remake, so there you go. Romney, what about you?
For me, like the two games that I can see myself actually buying, well, I guess three, because again, I mentioned that Spider-Man was like the one like presentation that I enjoyed the most, mainly just because it balanced showing the gameplay, but showing how the gameplay was very much informed by the character of Spider-Man, which is something that a lot of studios have faltered with from time to time. And I'm probably going to get the Metroid 2 remake, mainly just because I like me a good exploration game. And as for like an honorable mention that I may look into, mainly just because of the people working on it, that would probably have to be Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
That actually did look really dang good, and I was actually thinking of you when that got announced, because it's the Guilty Gear Xrd people that are working on it.
Yeah, it's basically a Dragon Ball fighting game being worked on by the people that are behind the Guilty Gear series. Although how involved they are remains to be seen, and it'll actually tie into this week's Romney's recommendation, oddly enough, since this isn't the first time they've actually worked on something Dragon Ball related. But that one, at least, it looks interesting. I mean, granted, it probably is just, another Butoden fighting game just on a console with high-definition graphics. But, well, I'm a sucker for the Dragon Ball Z fighting games because, well, I'm a Dragon Ball Z fan, plain and simple.
Well, one question that I actually have with that is, were you disappointed that they stuck with Z characters? I kind of am surprised that nobody pushed them to put in super characters.
Well, not really, because keep in mind, I haven't really started Super. I actually have not really been interested in Super because I'm in the camp that believes that the series should have ended with the Cell Saga, all things considered. So the lack of super characters doesn't really faze me because, well, what I've seen from Super, I've been trying to make my way through the manga version since I don't really have the patience to watch the 60 bajillion episodes of the anime that are just retreads of Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, so I'm not that disappointed, really.
Okay. I was just curious about that because, like, the first thing that came to my mind was, okay, we're seeing a lot of Z characters, but I'm not seeing, like, Beerus or Whis being featured, and I wonder if they're even going to get featured.
They're gonna be in the game. I mean, it would be given that even though the quality is a bit mixed, Super is still doing very well in Japan, doing very well on sites like Crunchyroll and Verve, so they're gonna incorporate it, especially when you consider the whole multi-dimension. I mean, you literally had the first female Super Saiyan. There's no way they're not gonna include that as DLC. I mean, if you saw anything that would get people to put down dollars, that would be it.
You have the first female Super Saiyan. You have Femme Broly, which is happening. Or I guess online she's earned the name Brolina until we actually got the name revealed, which is, I think it's Kale.
Yeah, it's like either pronounced Kale or Kali because it's a play off the other half of broccoli, much like Broly. So, like, given how popular Super is, they're gonna put some characters in. They just have to, go through all the numerous characters because you have not only do you have Beerus and Whis, you have the alternate dimension characters you have to work with. You have all the stuff from the new Future Trunks arc with Zamasu. So there's still a sizable roster. So they're gonna at least put in some from Super. If not, if not at launch, then at least as DLC.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into some of the questions that I'm getting via private message as well as via Twitter. So the first one is you guys' thoughts on Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. My thoughts are it looks like XCOM, but with a Mario and Rabbids tinge. I really wish I could say I had more of a thought than that, but not really.
For me, I'll just jump right in with that being said. For me, I've never really played a game like that before. And so it's something that I am looking forward to trying out. I know that when it was leaked, Nathan and I were looking over all the leaked information, and we're like, yeah, this is, like, we both agreed that it was a game that we wanted to play and try out. Whether or not we actually, play it for a long time is just determinate on if it's fun for us or not. But it seemed interesting enough that I'm willing to give it a try.
Okay. What about Alex and Romney?
The Rabbids, those are those prior Ubisoft pseudo mascots, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think they got their own. Well, I think they did a Rayman game, and then they got their own game.
Yeah, they were initially introduced in Rayman, and then they got their own spinoff. I kind of regard them as the prototype to the Minions.
Yeah, they really are. But basically,
Yeah.
in that, you could get trailers of like a Rabbid version of Princess Toadstool, Rabbid Luigi, Rabbid Mario, and apparently you need to utilize the Rabbids as well as the Mario characters because it's tied into the story.
Yeah, I'm not really interested.
Okay. Romney, what about you?
Eh.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, Grant Kirkhope's doing the music. That's at least interesting.
I love it. If somebody from Rare is doing something on it, then he's interested. The next question that we actually have is in regards to, speaking of Rare, Sea of Thieves. I actually said in my Xbox conference that this looked a lot better than the original announcement, which was just on the ship and didn't really seem all that interesting. But I'm still wary about because this is, again, a pirate MMO. What are you going to do aside from going and digging for buried treasure? Like, are you going to have actual experiences going to different parts of the Caribbean? I'm guessing this is based in the Caribbean, but I don't see what you could do aside from what you've showcased.
Well,
I love the cringe that Romney has on his face right now.
Well, to use the exact words that Nathan said after that trailer, this is literally all we get to see after years of development. Are you effing kidding me?
Yep. I really do think, like, if this thing releases, and I'm guessing it's going to bomb at least to some extent, this might be the end of Rare. Rare might just eventually not be a studio that Microsoft's willing to have anymore. Because that's a thing. Alex, what about you?
I guess I'm still curious about it. But I hate to kind of have to jump on the doom and gloom bandwagon, but it just doesn't seem like a wise idea to make it into an MMO unless it's a free-to-play MMO because, well, the MMO market is so, crowded up with World of Warcraft, frankly. It's really hard to crack into it.
World of Warcraft, Star Wars The Old Republic, Elder Scrolls Online, Final Fantasy 14. The MMO space is actually surprisingly crowded, and there was like 3 MMO announcements on the Xbox conference because you had Sea of Thieves, you had another one. I can't even remember its name. I think it was no, it wasn't Ashen. Ashen was a Dark Souls clone. That was the other thing that irritated me was
Anthem?
all the Dark Souls clones. What was that?
Are you talking about Anthem?
No. This was an indie MMO that was being made.
Oh, okay. I don't even, like I said, I don't like Microsoft's conference was my least favorite. The only thing I can remember was the fact that they just had to swing their dicks around, and I just don't really remember any of the games besides the one that are multi-platform.
I hear so much about this. Just the way he's putting it. Black Desert, that's what it was called.
Yeah, I don't even remember it.
I remember it because it looked good, but I was like, another MMO, and this one from an indie developer. It just look. I get that it worked for Rift. I just don't know if it necessarily is going to work again. And I think you and me, Alex, back to Sea of Thieves, have kind of decided like if I actually do a Drac Tries for it, I'll probably bring you in to try it out.
Yeah.
Because that seems about right. The next one that we got was crap! Dang you, iTunes, leave me alone. I know that was random. I'm sorry. One other question that we got was, what did you think of the indie performance at E3? In this person's honest opinion, it was pretty lackluster. I would actually say not really. It was probably more in the good category, but we could have definitely had a little bit more of a highlight in that regard. I mean, I mentioned in the Microsoft conference, I found one in particular that I was absolutely excited about. Oh, I can't remember its name, but it was such an homage to like the old Out of This World games that I wanted to look into it. The best way that I know how to explain it to people was it was Out of This World mixed in with that new RPG that's coming to the Switch, Octopath Traveler. It looked that good, but I'm not remembering. It was The Last Night. That was what it was called. So there you go. I have my notes right here and there. What about you guys? What do you guys think of the indie performance at E3?
Well, I didn't really see too much from the indie developers in my research, so it didn't really it didn't really raise a blip on my radar, unfortunately.
Okay.
I would say
Ori would be considered indie, wouldn't it?
which game?
Yeah.
Ori. Yeah, because I'm interested in that.
I mean, I would have liked to have seen more from the indie developers. I feel like indie games have been making a really, really big impact in the gaming community. So I found it a little strange that a lot of what I saw and a lot of what I read was just very mainstream, big company, big name titles, and not so much from indie performance. So I don't know. I guess like it was a little lackluster. It just wasn't very present. And I wish it was, because I've been very impressed with what indie games have been coming out. And so it would have been nice to see what more is to come.
Yep, I would agree. Alex, do you have any thoughts on it?
Not really, because like Romney, they just kind of didn't register because, well, if there's going to be any kind of indie presence, it's going to be on the show floor. So it's not going to be in any of the big conferences. So it's just kind of hard to get any kind of feel for indie when they're just kind of relegated to being on the floor, which is obviously not something I can experience.
Yeah, exactly. Another one was asked was, again, from we're getting a lot from the Xbox conference, by the way.
Thanks, guys.
Our opinions on Super Lucky's Tale. And in particular, this is more trashing me because how dare cute and cuddly platformers exist on the Xbox. I stick to my viewpoint. I think it still looks awesome. I think it's a great idea to have a cute and cuddly platformer. I know a lot of people wanted at the very end for Conker to come in and shoot the crap out of him, and therefore a new Conker game. But I don't think that's going to happen, guys. I think Rare's so devoted to Sea of Thieves. I don't think that you're going to get that. But what I saw of Super Lucky's Tale got me excited, and I actually think it would be a good idea for Xbox to have that cute and cuddly mascot to bring in more of a family audience, because right now Xbox is still known as the shooter console, the her console. And so at that point, if you're trying to sell this as a media machine, this would help. So I didn't necessarily have a problem with it. I actually recommended that Alex look up this trailer because I wanted to see if he had the same thoughts as I did. Did you look that up, Alex?
Yeah, but the problem is it's a VR thing, so there's really
actually, it's from what I looked at. It's not that it's a VR thing; it's that the initial thing was for VR, but then this Super Lucky's Tale that we're getting is them porting that to regular consoles. At least that's what the stories regarding Super Lucky's Tale have been reporting.
Yeah. So there you go. But I mean, did you have a problem with the look of the character?
No,
I thought he looked like Tails, honestly.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Brinton, did you have any other thoughts you wanted to share on it?
I think it's a cute idea. The first thing that came to my mind is, this is Xbox trying to compete with like Yooka-Laylee. But I completely agree with you, Adam, that it is something that Xbox should have, just because, again, like I said, I feel that it is Xbox's way of competing with Yooka-Laylee and trying to get more of a family audience, trying to get more people to purchase the world's most powerful console in the world. So it's a good thing, but it kind of goes back to my negativity on their entire show.
Yep. So the next one that we've got is actually from the Sony conference, and I have to say it exactly as it was said: Shadow of the Colossus.
So it was on all caps.
Yeah. So my thoughts
With
are
like 20 exclamation points.
I'm actually kind of
wanna
surprised.
make sure.
I'm surprised a friend of me and Alex's has not immediately recommended this to us for a milestone Let's Play. Because I know that's coming. Alex, you and me both know it has to be coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited. It looks really, really good. I'll admit that my inner OCD kind of kicked in. I'm going, okay, does this mean we're going to get Eco remastered? To which all of my Shadow of the Colossus friends went, no, that's a bad track. Bad. We don't want Eco remastered. So, okay.
Why wouldn't people want Eco remastered?
Yeah,
That
that's
would be
like,
a really cool remaster.
Apparently it's
I
the
thought-
black sheep of the trilogy.
It seems like it has a following. I don't get it, but I've never, granted, I've never really played Shadow of the Colossus myself, but I've experienced it through a friend playing it for me, and I've experienced it through Let's Play. It is a pretty interesting and unique kind of game, so I think it is great to kind of see Shadow of the Colossus come back for an HD remaster, and I think it's kind of the same line of, I'm kind of thinking this in the same line of thinking with the Thought Hack GU remaster. Some people are asking the same question, why just GU and not the original 4 games? And and the way I kind of see it is, perhaps if this does well, in this case Shadow of the Colossus does well, that might spur on an Eco remaster. I think it's just sort of, we're testing the waters with something that's a tad more recent and a tad more well known.
Yep. I would agree with that. Romney, any thoughts?
Well, not really. I mean, good on people who are excited for the remaster. I don't have as much nostalgia for any of the Team Eco properties. I mean, I did get The Last Guardian as a Christmas gift, so I probably, should play that, but it's just like, hey, if you're excited, good for you. It's just, I don't really have much else to say since I don't have as much nostalgia for it.
Yep. All right, moving on into the next one. And again, if you guys want to leave suggestions in the chat too, that'd be awesome as well. The other one that I want to get into, because people have been asking about it, is, oh boy, okay, this was announced at the Xbox conference. But I guess since we have 2 legit fans of the series, we have to bring it up. And this is again in all caps. So, Final Fantasy 15 fishing DLC.
That looks stupid as hell.
Oh,
Thank you. That's my thought.
I was like,
Did
Did you
serious?
just say fishing
Yes.
DLC? Is that
Yeah,
literally, they're just
Alex,
adding in like intense fishing. That's it.
So
And I haven't even finished Final Fantasy 15 yet. Like, and honestly, I don't even know if Nathan and I will ever get back to it. But like, I was just like, seriously, this is what I'm watching right now. This is oh my gosh.
So to
I don't
bring
even know
Please
what
tell
else
me
to
they
say
are
about
not
it.
charging for that. Are they charging? Are they going to plan on charging people for that?
Let's bring you up to speed, Alex. So their VR portion of 15 is that you play as one of the other characters that follows the main character. And so this DLC is playing as him doing fishing. And apparently the biggest feature of it is that you can basically come across a Final Fantasy equivalent of Jaws. And yes, I believe there is a price tag for it.
Oh my god.
It's again one of those things of, this is why I don't buy into VR, people. I really don't. Because then we're going to have stuff like this that I'm just not interested in. So yeah, that's a thing.
That's literally the cheapest DLC idea I've ever heard in the history of all shitty DLC.
I now actually
Capcom
want to be what?
Capcom still has the whole thing beat because at least this one isn't locked on the disc.
Yeah, this is true. It's not locked, so we can at least give them that credit.
Just because it's fishing out. One thing to say. It's going in the chat now. I just want to invoke the whole no fishing.
Okay, all right. I'll give you that. The next one is our thoughts on Anthem, the new intellectual property from BioWare. Because Mass Effect did so well. Go ahead, Brinson, sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. All I said was I plan to play it.
Oh yeah, it looks really, really good.
Yeah, both
Um,
like Nathan for the longest time has been really, really wanting me to like experience a proper Bioware game ever since Andromeda flopped, and he was and I mean I watched the conference with him. I saw all the gameplay they revealed and all the information they gave us, and I was like, yeah, this is something that I'd be interested
Let's
in playing.
correct that for a second. You saw the Microsoft conference where they actually showed something, unlike the EA conference, which literally showed about a minute worth of footage, and then it said, "Please go to the Xbox conference to see more."
I mean,
It's your property, EA. There's no excuse for that.
I'm pretty sure there was like money involved because Microsoft again needed to waggle their dicks around because they had to show off the most powerful console on the planet in the entire effing universe, and so I'm pretty sure they paid tons of people tons of money. No, I'm pretty sure tons of people paid them money because it's like, oh, we need to have our game shown on the most powerful console in the universe, and it's like, oh my Lanta, I'm probably gonna play this on PS4.
Yeah, exactly. Any other thoughts before we move on to into the next one? Nope. Okay, good to know. So the next one is, and I kind of wish we had Aldo for this because I think he's the only devoted fan, but Monster Hunter World. I will say this: I'm officially going to own it. It's going to be my first ever Monster Hunter game.
It probably definitely would only be Aldo who'd be hyped for it. It didn't look super appealing to me.
Okay. Romney and Alex, either of you actually interested? Like, especially from Alex's perspective, you could technically go and get the upcoming 3DS game.
Never. Is this the first of its kind, Monster Hunter World? Because
it's the first time that it's gone to a Sony console. Most of the time, it's gone to either a handheld or I believe it does have a Wii U entry.
So, yes. Okay, this is a franchise title, but I've never played anything in this franchise, so no real opinion.
Okay.
I'm kind of in the same boat. Mainly just, I don't like games that are grind fests, so it's not really something that would be in my wheelhouse.
This one specifically goes to Brinton. Because of your love for Assassin's Creed Origins, how did you feel about Skull and Bones?
That was in the Ubisoft conference, wasn't it?
That's why I was kind of wondering if you even have thoughts on it.
I'm to whomever asked that question, I apologize. I really wanted to watch the Ubisoft conference, and I know of the game's title because
let me sum this up for you, Brinton.
Okay.
Did you or did you not like the ship combat in Assassin's Creed 3 and 4?
I did not like the ship combat.
Then you won't like Skull and Bones because it's a pirate game based off that combat.
Yay. No, Nathan told me about the game because he was texting me what was going on in the conference as it was happening. So he was telling me, he was like, oh, but he said that it was going to be like improved and et cetera. And I was like, well, I'll like watch you play, but ultimately the thing that I did not like about Assassin's Creed 4 was the ship combat because it was very confusing and like very difficult for me to like handle.
Okay. Now we have another specific one, which is towards Alex. Your thoughts on Spider-Man? And this is actually a direct channel listener. So, because we've had talks about Spider-Man a couple of times. So, did you actually see the trailer for the Marvel Spider-Man?
No, I did not. I didn't even know it was there until Romney mentioned it. But
yeah, you should actually see it.
Yeah, the fact Romney did mention it's a stealth game, it intrigues me because when they first teased it like a year or two ago, I thought it's probably just going to be a quick time event button masher. But the idea of it being a stealth,
it kind of is. But yeah, it does have those elements.
Okay, but the idea of it being stealth, yeah, I like that idea. It does fit Spider-Man because, well, Spider-Man, he crawls along the walls and the ceiling, so it's perfect.
Yeah, I would actually say, like, because you could go in guns a-blazing, from what I could actually tell from gameplay that was being shown on the floor, but it does encourage you to go stealth in some sections. So that's actually a good idea on Insomniac's part. I'll give them that. But yeah, you should see that trailer. I think you would like it. The next one that we have is from the Bethesda conference. Holy crap, we have a mention of Bethesda Land. The Evil Within 2. How many people, and this is literally how it said, how many people are going to pee their pants playing that one? Me. In fact, I'm going to pee my pants twice because I haven't played The Evil Within yet.
I'm kind of in that same camp. I haven't played the first one, so...
Haven't
Okay.
played any either.
Back when I was doing the gamers with my buddy Will, we were let's playing The Evil Within before we stopped doing our YouTube channel, and it wasn't anything like terribly scary. I mean, I did have like a couple of jump scares. Like there were a couple of jump scares that like did legitimately scare me a couple times here and there.
I've heard it's more of a psychological horror kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely, it is psychological horror. But I mean, I never finished The Evil Within, and as we all know, I'm not a huge fan of the horror genre. So I was like, oh, cool, The Evil Within 2. Like, that was a really awesome reveal trailer. I'm not going to pick up that game. Like, and it's not because it's scary, but because I wasn't, like, super impressed by The Evil Within, or at least what I saw of The Evil Within. It just wasn't very appealing to me.
Okay. And you know what? I'll give you that. But I mean, I haven't played these, and I have actually been interested because it is Shinji Mikami who did it, the original creator of the Resident Evil series. So I'll at least give it a shot. And then the final question that we're actually going to end things on, because we're getting to that time, everybody. And thank you guys so much for contributing. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, these have been awesome questions.
But the next one, I don't think we're going to have too much to say on, because your thoughts on Destiny 2.
Oh, I have stuff to say on Destiny 2.
I'm interested, but I haven't made my way through Destiny 1. So again, I'll make my way through 1 and then I'll go through 2. So go ahead, Brinton.
Oh, well, I mean, again, I didn't play the game, but when I was doing the gamers, one of our very first Let's Plays was Destiny. And I mean, I thought it was cool. It was back when I wasn't like all that into first-person shooters, which is the reason why I didn't play it. But I really like the direction that they're taking with Destiny, and kind of how it's kind of almost like an MMO, which is a genre that I have been enjoying for the past year. So when Nathan asked me, "Is this a game that you'd like to play?" I was like, "Yeah, definitely. I think it would be fun," and like I'm personally excited for Destiny 2 just based on all the content and all the things that they've shown us so far. And then it only just makes it easier because they already have the BattleNet client. So I just...
Well, like, only for PC. If you're playing on console, you're still subject to PSN or Xbox Live. But if you're playing PC, you're playing on BattleNet.
Yeah, so I mean, that just makes it convenient because it's just right there since I already own Blizzard games. So...
Okay. And then actually, we do have one other question, and then we're going to end things, because this one pertains specifically to Alex, and I'm sure that Alex can answer this question. Oh my gosh, Shadow Blazer, did you actually see that there's going to be a remake of the .hack GU games?
Of course I saw it.
Actually, no, he didn't see anything. He literally took his eyes out over the week because he was so annoyed at the E3 coverage. Didn't see a thing.
Sure. Let's go with that.
I was about to say, like, go back an hour on this and then you'll hear his thoughts on it. So you'll be fine. But yeah, that's going to go ahead and do it for this episode of Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions. Thank you guys so much for not only watching, but also contributing to the conversation, because I do actually like having this conversation specifically with E3 or other major events that happen. I mean, if we had enough interest, I'd probably even do it for Oscar coverage or something like that. But thankfully, I don't have to worry about that because the Shadow Blazer does it for me. So, yay! Thanks, Alex.
I mean, this is one of my most favorite weeks out of the entire year. I mean, obviously, I'm either going to be disappointed or super excited by the end of the week. For this year, it was just kind of like, yay for some things and yay ? For other things. But but it's always fun to get together with people who enjoy it as much as I do, and have a discussion about it. So I also just personally want to say thanks to all you who have been listening tonight for the awesome questions. So thank you again.
Yep. Oh, and actually, you know what? I'm gonna get this one in too, and then we'll start wrapping things up. Metal Gear Survive. People are actually asking for our thoughts on it, specifically me and Romney's. My thoughts are, I don't think really got anything major got shown for Survive, did it?
Not really. It was just mainly like gameplay. It was basically like a show floor demonstration mainly.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm still, unfortunately, like the trailer didn't buy me. So I'm, and especially considering this is going to be the first ever Metal Gear game that is not run by Kojima, I'm just not interested. To me, this looks like a dumber idea than Rising was.
Yeah.
So,
and for me, I'm probably not going to buy it more on principle, just given how skeevy Konami has been. I mean, there was literally a story that dropped a while back of how they've been saying, oh, if you were fired from Konami, you can't say that you've worked in Konami. You have to basically pretend we never hired you, so you can't list us as a reference. And to make it even worse, they've actually been trying to actively block Kojima Productions from applying for health insurance in Japan's big health insurance exchange.
Of course they did.
Jesus, what is wrong with these people?
Can we just officially call this Hideo's War?
I'm like completely okay with this because the more and more I hear shit like this coming from Konami, the less and less I want to like be an active.
For a second there, I thought Alex was so mad he was gonna start pacing behind his chair because you started getting up. I'm like, this really got you that pissed off, Alex?
Yeah,
it's hard for me.
Yeah, that's how messed up this is getting. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Jiminy effing Christmas. This just gets worse and worse and worse every time we get news on it. Like, this was done in 2015. Move on, Konami.
Oh my gosh.
Hideo drank your tears. Move on.
Yeah, because the reason they're able to get away with it is because Konami actually has a major stake in this health insurance exchange because they actually own a bunch of fitness clubs and gyms in Japan that are part of the incentive. So
that's so weird, but
yeah.
That's the Yakuza's.
You see this man? Hideo Kojima's no longer allowed to work out of these clubs. He's not allowed.
Yeah, that's how messed up this is, and that's probably why I'm not going to buy that game.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? That's a motivator for me. Alex, please showcase to us how pissed off you are at this information. I literally thought you were going to get up and start pacing.
Sorry. I know. I move around a lot. I'm kind of a restless person, and I'm kind of a nervous speaker, so that's why. Yeah, what can I say? It's like it's official. I think the Yakuza are the one running Konami.
Which is appropriate because Yakuza 6 is happening soon.
Oh my Lanta.
Okay, well, we found another way to plug yet another game. Brenton, final thoughts before you wrap up. Oh my gosh, Konami, seriously.
If you want to reach me, I can be found at Brenton Valley Gaming on YouTube.
I'm sorry, this is officially broken. I should feel bad, but Konami just can't get a damn hint. And I'm laughing at that because they are in the situation they are because of this bullcrap to begin with. So of course they're not learning their lesson.
People, this is why we don't like hold grudges, because obviously this has become super like not inappropriate but immature and like just silly.
Can we officially call
sickening.
Konami the EA of Japan?
They're way worse than EA.
I was gonna say I don't think you can compare them to EA, buddy.
No, you can't. But I'm just like, I'm trying to think of a game company that's just as evil, at least in the gamers' eyes. And in Japan, no, because even Capcom, like, they have their haters. Don't get me wrong, but they're starting to earn more trust in the coming years. But Konami is just they're not even in the negatives. They're like in the double negatives at this point.
At this point, they've moved from just being a shitty game company with questionable business practices to being a downright monster supervillains.
It's
There you go.
I mean, you're absolutely right. Like I've never seen someone treated so badly, considering the fact that he
So-
like he gave so much to the company and they treat him like crap. Like I hate it when people do shit like that. It's just so frustrating and annoying.
The best part about this whole story, and we've covered it before, and I promise we're not going to retread too much ground, but he literally went from being on the verge of being fired from Konami to being one of their biggest cash cows, and this is how they treated him. Because of and I love the only excuse that we've ever gotten was because of the lavish budgets that he demanded that he get for his games. Mother effers, seriously, he was the only one bringing money in. In fact, I would actually, before people start screaming, but Castlevania, who brought in Mercury Steam? That would be Kojima. So before you start getting mad, he's contributed so much, and this is how he left, by drinking your tears. Fitting.
And
So-
on that happy note,
Yeah, exactly. We'll continue to follow coverage of Hideo's war as we go along, just as we will for any updates on Romney's war, on Brinton's war, because Brinton, I think, has a war. I'm not sure about Alex. Alex doesn't have a war, I don't think.
I
yet.
have a war.
I think you do.
When did this happen?
I'll need to double check this, but I think there is a war for you now. Oh, well, your war on furries.
Oh, that's not a war. That's okay. Maybe that is a war. I don't know.
All right. So thank you guys so much for continuing to contribute to the podcast, not only this week, but previous weeks. And we do appreciate you guys' feedback as well as your questions tonight. If people want to get a hold of us to continue the discussion, Brinton, how do they do that with you, since we were having too much of a giggle fit for you to get your stuff across?
I could be found at Brinton Volley Gaming on YouTube, which you can find in the banner right under my name. And you can also find me on Twitter at bvolley01. With the release of the new Final Fantasy XIV expansion, I didn't have any new updates this week, and I probably won't have any updates next week on my channel, just being completely and utterly honest with you all. But if you follow me there, you will get updates as to when I will get new videos out and when to expect them. And then whenever I do have a new video go up, it gets tweeted out via my Twitter. So that's like the best way to get information from me.
Yep. Alex, how do people get a hold of you?
Well, Shuttle Blizzard 3000 is my channel where, of course, I produce anime content and lists and all sorts of, again, just any kind of anime content, really. And if you want to follow me on social media and know exactly when a new video's out, then follow me on Twitter at AlexJShort.
All right. Stephen Romney, how do people get a hold of you?
Well, you can always find me here on YouTube at youtube.com/StudioGhostUtah. You can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Romney'sReviews, no apostrophe. And I am also on Twitter at RomneyReviews, no apostrophe S. And as for this week's Romney's recommendation, because of E3, Nintendo was having a bit of a flash sale on a few select games. And one of the games that I managed to pick up was Dragon Ball Z Extreme Butoden for the 3DS, which is another Dragon Ball Z fighting game that was worked on by Arc System Works. It's a continuation of the long-running Butoden fighting game series, so it's not quite like Budokai or Budokai Tenkaichi. It's more akin to a traditional fighting game. It's a one-on-one 2D fighter, and in addition to basically creating the visuals are created by Arc System Works, so you have the best of both worlds, where it's fluid anime-style animation with the classic Butoden gameplay. So if you can pick it up for a decent price, it was on sale for about $15, I definitely recommend it. So that's this week's Ronnie's recommendation is Dragon Ball Z Extreme Butoden.
Which is actually a really good buy, at least as far as I'm concerned, because for a lot of people who don't realize this, the Butoden series didn't really get featured here. So aside from this, I think the only example that you have of a Butoden game, and I wouldn't even call it that, would be Ultimate Battle 22, which came out for the PlayStation, but that's such a horrible example, I don't know if I want to give it.
Well, a better example, and it was a limited release, I only managed to play it because the Nickelcade that I went to managed to get it was the arcade cabinet, where it was a Nickelcade in, I'm not going to say the exact street because, stalkers and all, but it was, for those of you who don't know, Nickelcade is an arcade where instead of putting in quarters, you put in nickels, and they had an old school Dragon Ball Z arcade cabinet. It was in Japanese, so I'm pretty sure it was imported. And so that was my first exposure to the Butoden series. And that was back during the height of popularity. And again, during when the Cell Saga was airing. I'm still of the opinion that that's where the series should have ended.
Well, but then I wouldn't have come in because I started with, well, like I saw pieces here and there, but I saw the Buu Saga. That was actually the first one I ever saw. So... Then I wouldn't be a DBZ fan. Because that's actually what got me to watch the Cell Saga.
Yeah, it's just for me, having followed the whole kind of the journey, at least from the start of Z to the end of the Cell Saga, the way the Cell Saga ended just felt like a nice ending to everything, where it's like, Goku's very much, I'm going to stay dead so people will stop attacking us. And I'm just like, great, that actually is a nice way to end it. And there's more.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I agree with you. I think it actually provided a better ending than I think Toriyama even realized, or even the Toei realized. So if people want to get a hold of me, you can do so on my Twitter, which is at Drac2326. You can also follow my YouTube channel and check out all of the updates that I've been doing via Twitter as well. Because I've been covering E3, my own personal opinions on the various conferences. I covered as much stuff as I could, but unfortunately, a lot of that was coming in from behind. So, I wasn't able to watch the conferences live, but you guys can check that out. And of course, I'm actually going to be back to regular schedule as of next week, which means all of your favorite stuff that's been happening in the afternoons is going to start happening again, including things like Diablo 2, because a lot of people actually were mad that Diablo 2 didn't have a part this week. It's only because I was covering E3. So those are the best ways to be able to get a hold of me. If you want to get a hold of the podcast directly, the first place I'm going to aim you is geekyweek.podomatic.com. It's where our RSS feed is. I know it's not the most up-to-date, but it's getting there. That's the best way to get access to the iTunes page so you guys can get the downloads and be able to enjoy us on your daily commute. Because I do know a lot of people that do actually enjoy the podcast that way. And thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Also, if you guys want to send in a story or give us feedback for the podcast, we do appreciate that. And the best way to do that is at geekyweek@gmail.com. Because a lot of the suggested stories that we did get, including the use for mod. Thank you.
Open for.
That's the one that we covered today. That actually was brought in by a number of other people, including Aldo Gomez, who unfortunately just couldn't make it tonight. Unfortunately, I'll bet he got too busy. So unfortunately, he couldn't make it. So yeah, geekyweek@gmail.com. And then if you want to follow us on social networking, you can look us up on Facebook by looking up Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions and liking it. And you'll get up-to-the-minute information when we're going live, the stuff we'll be covering, all that fun stuff you guys can check out there, as well as on our Twitter feed, which is at GeekyNRO, which is, again, gives you that live feed option, gives you the stuff we'll be discussing. And I may even toss in some trailers that maybe you haven't seen on the conferences, but you saw on the E3 show floor. Because I do know of a few people who have seen the Kingdom Hearts announcement, but didn't see the Metroid 2 announcement. So there you go. We'll probably do that. And that's going to go ahead and do it for us this evening. We thank you guys so much for continuing to watch, listen, contribute to the podcast as much as you guys have. And of course, we'll be back next week with even more geek news, reviews, and opinions. So for me, for Brinton, for Romney, and for Alex, we'll see you guys next time. Shadow of the Colossus!